Not too far to travel tonight as we leave Fontana and take the short drive over to Arizona for 125 miles of 125 laps around the mile-long Phoenix Raceway. It is the Eastwood Detailing 125. So welcome everybody to the broadcast. Glad to be back with you guys as I missed last week, but thankfully Marshall was able to step in and did a great job. Got him next to me right here. And Nick Nickerson already with the quick time on the board in his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. But before we get going real quick, as I missed the race last week, and I'm sure some other people may have, so real quick, Marshall, you want to just walk us through kind of what happened last week at Auto Club?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, first of all, great to have you back here, Evan. Some of the, you're maybe giving me a little bit too much credit with the quality of the broadcast, but I did my best to work in your stead, and it was easy to do so because we had a great race and on our hands there at Auto Club. I mean, first of all, the story of the race has to be the story of Nick Nickerson and Brandon Jackson, the two guys that kind of dominated the event, going back and forth, and it felt like Nick would get the better run on the pit cycles. That's kind of been one of his strengths all season, is he's really good at those, you know, the little aspects, the stuff that isn't always on track, but those little details throughout the race. He was great at that, but Brandon Jackson brought so much pace in the long run. So after a couple early cautions in the race that kind of set the event up as though it was going to be a very chaotic affair with lots more incidents, well, we've had a great long green flag period all the way through the rest of the race until the final two laps. And, you know, Nick and Brandon were about to have a great battle there at the end. They kind of dominated the event. They were on pace to just finish the race off on old tires, but we got a late caution, and all of a sudden everything was up in the air. At that point, it became a question of, okay, who had taken tires the most recently, and in turn, who was going to have that pace on the short run? It basically became guys just trying to replicate their qualifying runs again. And in that moment, the two guys that took advantage of it were the race's sponsor and the hometown boy himself, Mr. Benjamin Lacey, your eventual race winner, who capitalized on a great tire situation there at the end of the race and beat Nickerson and Jackson on his newer tires. And Kevin Foster went with him. The driver of the 8 car got his first podium of the season and did so with the second place. And I believe, I'm trying to remember who came third. I think Nick Nickerson rounded off the podium there in third, so he did come away with podium spots as a result of all his effort. I believe led the most laps and just had a dominant race. And again, we're seeing this week at a racetrack that, though it may be very different than Auto Club, I feel like there are a lot of parallels and similarities between the style of the two races, but I'll delve into that later. So all I'll say, Evan, is it was a crazy event. From start to finish, it looked like it was going to be a very different race than it was in the end. And Benjamin Lacey became, well, one of many drivers this season to get a win. We've had just such a wide variety of drivers score wins and guarantee themselves playoff points this season. So it's been great to watch. I can't wait to see what this week is. And again, I'll say it one more time. It's great to have you back, Evan. It's going to make my job here much more comfortable and allow me to focus on the events on track.
Yeah, great to be back for sure. And before we really get into anything else, I want to go ahead and mention that this event, of course, is sponsored by Eastwood Detailing. And Eastwood Detailing will be having a fire suit raffle as well as breast cancer awareness shirts coming up in October. So if you guys are interested in that raffle, then you can go ahead and look up Chris Eastwood on Facebook and shoot him a message for your chance to enter that raffle and win a fire suit. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and look at our current point standings, as we did have a couple of drivers jump into the point standings with a win. So this is the next to last race of the regular season. So as we pull up our current point standings right here, of course, Nick Nickerson in the lead in points because he has 2 wins. Everyone with a win is locked in, meaning Nick Nickerson, Ricky Hart Jr., Curtis Yancey, Benjamin Lacey, Brandon Jackson, Cody Welch, and Dustin Franklin have all locked their way in on wins. But then the 12 drivers who have not won a race are going to be locked in on points. So Garrett Hall going to be the first driver without a win, leading in points. Behind him, Christopher Ferrara. And we got Trey Ellis, Kevin Foster, and you can see the list right there with the cutoff line being Benny Hogan. Jason Greenwell, the first driver out, and directly behind him, Jarrett Grodzicki. So we'll see if one of these drivers down on that list back below the cutoff line is able to get a win and work their way in, or maybe Jason Greenwell, Grodzicki, maybe even Robert Mathis or Ramos can gain enough points in these final 2 races to work their way into the championship. Practice winding up right now, and the quick time going to be the driver of the number 2 car, Nick Nickerson. You see his details right there. Hometown of Phoenix, Arizona, has 2 wins this season, but both of them have only been on the road courses. I say only. He dominated both road course races that we've had so far, as you guys saw. But now looking to do it in his hometown. We'll see if he is able to. Definitely has the quickest time, so we'll see what it looks like in qualifying. But Marshall, do you have a favorite to win here today?
It's so hard to predict, and the reason I was saying earlier that this race is going to have lots of parallels to Auto Club last week is when Auto Club came down to the end, where after a long race of tire conservation, guys worrying about running that, in this case, high line that is going to be better on tires, in the end it just came down to chaos, and a track that is very wide, very open to passing opportunities meant that guys on fresher tires by the end took the advantage. And I think this week will be much the same. I mean, if you've ever watched any race here at Phoenix, you know how crucial that dog leg is, as it's known here at Phoenix. That section of the backstretch that is legal to cut, that can be crucial for guys on newer tires, because they can just run that low line, run right next to the line, cut off as much as they want, and make moves on 10, 15, 20 drivers at a time. You've seen it if you've watched any of the real-life NASCAR events here at Phoenix in the last few years. It happens all the time. And I mean, to make a prediction here, Evan, I'm gonna have to predict, and this is kind of general. I'm gonna have to think of somebody a little bit more specific to keep in mind, but I think it'll be somebody who's really hungry for the win. Somebody who might take a risk there on the end on tires, who might go for a strategy play. Maybe somebody who is towards the bottom of the list there for drivers that are on the fringe of the playoff contention. So they haven't had a win, but they aren't towards the top of the leaderboard in points either. I think of somebody like a Benny Hogan, maybe. I didn't actually catch his times in practice to see how quick he was running, but maybe as well a guy like Bill Harkins there, who doesn't have a win, is towards the bottom of the locked into the playoffs point standings. So guys like that are hungrier and more willing to take risks. But I think the obvious answer, Evan, is the one that I was going to give last week towards the end of the event that didn't end up winning, but I think could very well do it here, is Nick Nickerson. He was fastest in practice. This is his hometown track. He's going to have some sentimentality here about this particular race, and he just looks so comfortable, as he has all day. So he's probably my realistic pick if I had to put money on the situation. But keep an eye on some of those guys there in the playoff contention who could really use this win here tonight to take a chance.
Yeah, right now, Ricky Hart Jr., driver, the 64 car, going to be on top of your board so far with the 85 of Welch directly behind him. And you can see in the top right, we have our Skype cameras. Let me get them full screen for you. Sorry about that. But Skype cameras up there in the top right. Got a bunch of drivers here on Skype. As you see, Nick Nickerson pulling off. Going to be in third position right now. Benjamin Lacey making his lap. The Redlands, California, last week's Auto Club winner. But they are up on the top right. You can see all of our drivers there in Skype. We've got Welch, Hall, Crockett, Brandon Jackson, Flagar, Hart, Greenwell, Harkins, and Nickerson all up there on the Skype cameras. That way you can see what they are doing as they go around the track. So looking at Lacey right now, but we'll see who else we can find. Thomas Finsler, one top 10 on the season in the 17 car. Let's watch him take his qualifying lap here. Right now sitting in 18th position. Let's go ahead and switch to another driver. This is Matt Crockett out of Utah, and if you look at his car, he does have a special paint scheme for tonight. Obviously, most of you have probably heard about the shooting that happened in Colorado. A couple of people killed in that shooting, one of them being police officer Eric Talley. And so Matt Crockett does have on the back of his car, you see it right above his rear window is a blue stripe with the name Officer Eric Talley there in the back. And then it also has Colorado's state flower there on the back of the car. So definitely a really special paint scheme for the driver of the 10 car. He has one top 10 on the season, notched himself in 24th with that qualifying effort right there. Only one driver left on track that I can see, and that's going to be Tyler Rowland, driver of the 80 car, as he looks to slow down. One top 5 on the year for him. And now Bill Harkins making his qualifying lap. One of only 3 drivers that is not qualified so far this race. One top 10 on the season. The 55-year-old from Ashtabula, Ohio. Let's go ahead and head on board with him as he takes his qualifying lap. And with that, time is going to be up, so getting ready to grid here at Phoenix Raceway for the Eastwood Detailing 125. We're going to go through your starting grid. So starting on the pole, driver of the 64 car, it's going to be Ricky Hart Jr. On his outside, Cody Welch in the 85, followed by Nick Nickerson of the 2, the driver from Phoenix, Arizona. Fourth position, the 04 of Brett Guzik, followed in fifth by Kevin Foster. 6, Benjamin Lacey, then Brandon Jackson, Christopher Ferrara, Dustin Franklin, and Curtis Yancey, driver of the 51, in 10th position.
On the inside of row number 6, Eddie Haggy will be the inside of Trey Ellis in the 4 car. Brandon Trogdon, after that, starting in 13th. Tyler Rowland starts 14th, and he was great in practice, and he was a big factor in last week's race. Let's see what he does tonight. Curtis Michaelis had a great race a few weeks ago at Daytona Road Course. He will start 15th with Mason Flagard to his outside. Then Benny Hogan in 17th, at last week's pole sitter, now starts 17th tonight. Jason Greenwell to his outside, starting 18th. Thomas Fenzler in 19th, and Garrett Hall will round out the top 20.
In 21st position is going to be Hunter Henry, driver of the 94. Then we have Mitchell Sullivan, followed by Peter Murphy and Matt Crockett, the driver of the 10 car that you just saw make his qualifying lap, sitting in 24th position. In 25th, we have James Healy, driver of the 39, followed by Gary Wright, Marshall Moran, Terry Condis, Victor Weaver, driver of the 23, and then Kim Janer, driver of the 82 car, in 30th position.
Rounding off tonight's field will be the 93 of Alan Castle, starting 31st. Anthony Caetano will start 32nd after that, and the 4 drivers that did not set a time in tonight's qualifier, those being Connor Sawyer starting 33rd. Bill Harkins, who we saw a moment ago, did not register an official time, so he will start 34th. Tony Halebrands will start 35th after that, and James Hartley will round off the grid in 36th.
So with that, let's go ahead and pull up our race info too as we get going. The Eastwood Detailing 125 here at Phoenix. There you can see the shape of this ISM Raceway, as it's called here. So it's an oval with the open dog leg. So it's a mile-long track, but it's really not a mile long if you cut that dog leg, and that's what these drivers are going across now. So Daytona, Talladega, those tracks, you have to stay up above the yellow line. This track, you don't have to do that. You can use all this space, and you'll see guys do that. They'll really fan out, go 3, 4, even 5 wide sometimes, trying to gain every bit of position that they can. So this isn't really in Phoenix. It's in Avondale, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix, but altitude of 957 feet. Temperature outside 114 degrees. I'm sorry, temperature on the track 114 degrees, 85 degrees outside. A hot day. But here comes Ricky Hart Jr. leading us to green, and we are going lap 1 here at Phoenix. Ricky Hart Jr. going to dive down into the corner first with Cody Welch to his outside. Nick Nickerson in that second row looking to make something happen.
Well, as you called it there, Evan, we are going, but it looks like Cody Welch is going more than anybody else. He got a great jump, and, well, it looked like he was going to take advantage. Ricky Hart, though, ran perfectly through the dogleg, took that inside the line, and may burn up some more tires here than the drivers behind, but he will hold the lead through the first lap. Nick Nickerson, though, jumping to the inside. He's trying to make progress at the very start, trying to move up 1 spot into the top 2 after that great performance he had in practice where he was top of the timesheets.
Yeah, great move for Nick Nickerson as he's able to capitalize, and he will take second position away from Cody Welch right now. The 85 going to be down to third. Saw a big move there from the 8 car. You saw those guys dive down onto the apron, onto the dog leg. And Kevin Foster in the 8 car looking to get by Brett Guzik, who is on his outside right now. Kevin Foster going to be 4th position. Brett Guzik fighting back, though. He may have a challenge there to his outside.
See Brandon Jackson there in the background, kind of getting stuck up behind the line of Brett Guzik and Curtis Yancey. A huge send to the bottom of the track. That 51 car sent it right through the dogleg. They're going to go 3 wide on entry to 3. Running out of room, Guzik just barely avoids the front nose of Kevin Foster's number 8 car. Not much room to work with there, but he will keep it on track. Brett Guzik had a great race last week early, and he is doing so again tonight. 4th place after lap 4.
Yeah, the 04 car, he may not have known that they were going 3 wide right there, and he just kind of pinched them down, probably unknowingly, just pinched down into the corner. But there you can see down onto the dog leg for the 51 and the 99. Yancey and Brandon Jackson looking to make something happen. Not gaining too much, though, the momentum of the 8 car, since he didn't get on the dog leg, right up on the back of Jackson and looking to make the move.
Yeah, it's such an interesting trade-off. That dogleg takes so much momentum out off of your entry into corners number 3 and 4 there at the end of the lap. But in the short term, it's so nice to make passes with. And Curtis Yancey is really trying to use it to the best of his abilities. But if he wants to catch guys like Brett Guzik in front who aren't using it all too much, you may need to try to work out your line a little bit, try to use more of that outside portion of corner number 2.
Out front, though, still the 64 car, Ricky Hart Jr. leading this race, and right behind him, Nick Nickerson. Nickerson had the quickest time in practice, and he is looking to gain on the 64 car of Ricky Hart Jr. right now. Cody Welch and Brett Guzik not too far behind. You see the 2 car dip down onto the dog leg.
Really impressed here at the start with how tough it can be to make this track and make these lines work on colder tires there at the beginning of the stints. Really impressed. Guys are getting the steering inputs necessary to keep it around, and we've kind of got a long single line form, but I've been really impressed with the field so far in this stint. Kevin Foster, a huge stand there in the turn number 1, just avoids the back end of the number 99 car, but we'll continue on. Maybe got a little bit too much momentum on exit, and Benjamin Lacey, last week's winner, might take advantage.
Yeah, Benjamin Lacey looking to the inside here, the 7 on the inside of the 8, pushing the 8 up the track a little bit. There may have been some contact there, and Kevin Foster going to lose a couple positions.
Great save, though, from the driver of the number 8 there. That was a great move there by Benjamin Lacey. Even if it wasn't intentional, that was a nice piece of driving there to put him up into the 7th spot to match his car number. And he's got the very similar looking car of Brandon Jackson there, the new number 99 paint scheme up ahead. Got to try to keep up with him. But you notice Lacey taking a much higher line than the drivers in front, whereas, well, Yancey and Jackson really trying to use that dogleg to the best of their abilities, which in the short term may work, but long term it might burn up their tires a little quicker than expected.
Yeah, if you don't use that dog leg, then you just get such a good run into the turns, and where the dog leg, you don't have the momentum that the other drivers do. So like you said, it's great for making passes, but I'm a little bit surprised to see some of these drivers that are taking it lap in and lap out. There you see Curtis Yancey go down there again, looking to make the pass on the 04 of Guzik.
Yeah, I think when you don't have the potential to make the move, the best thing to do is just to run the normal line, run above the yellow line down there on the inside, and take the normal line, really. Try to prioritize your apex in and out of the corners. That's how you get quick at a short track, because you focus on hitting your marks, you focus on your entries, and not burning the tires up over a longer run. And some guys here at the front, I seem to think are doing it better than others. Looking up front a little ways, guys are trying to be very conservative about their use of the dogleg, whereas Curtis Yancey being much more liberal about it, just sending that car in there. And he's catching Brett Guzik there in the 04 up front, but got to think, what is that going to do to the number 51's tires over the course of this longer stint?
Yes, he is catching Guzik. If we look at the gap now, the gap from Yancey up to the leader is going to be 2.3 seconds. Gap from Guzik up to the leader is about 2 seconds. So catching him, but slowly catching him. Not able to do too much, as there he goes down to the dog leg again. And Brandon Jackson, he may be gaining on Yancey just a little bit there in the background, but one driver that you still want to keep an eye out on, as you've said before, Benjamin Lacey and Kevin Foster. These guys aren't too far back, and Kevin Foster, if I know him, I bet he's sitting back there just trying to save his tires, and he'll definitely be a driver to look out for once we get to the end of the race. Heading back just a little bit more, though, we have a pass back here. Benny Hogan getting by Garrett Hall for the 17th position. Benny Hogan, driver of the 88. Garrett Hall there in the 26, and it looked like Hall washed up. Hogan was just able to get by him for that position.
Just keeping an eye out here on my telemetry here. The biggest mover of the race, as I always put it, Curtis Yancey's up 5 spots from 10th to 5th, and Tyler Rowland has done the same thing. Tyler Rowland, a big factor in last week's race. He was great in practice, and he's already up 5 spots from 14th to 9th there on this very short green flag run. But we have a pass for the lead. Nick Nickerson, welcome to the number 1 spot. side by side through turns number 3 and 4. We go side by side across the line, but Ricky Hart is going to use that superior momentum out of corner 4, take it to his advantage. He's still going to be on the unpreferred line here as we come through corner number 1, but Nick Nickerson is not done yet. Now we'll clear Ricky Hart entirely. The 64 is still going to have a good run, but Nick Nickerson at his hometown track is taking advantage. Up 2 spots from 3rd and is now your race leader.
Great pass for Nick Nickerson, able to get up there to the lead. Had such a fast car in practice, and it just looked like he didn't have the qualifying lap that he wanted to. But here now on lap 14 of 125, Nick Nickerson leading us to lap 15. A battle here, though, as you see Benjamin Lacey to the inside of Brandon Jackson. The 99 car right now sitting in 7th, Lacey sitting in 6th.
Yeah, Jackson's going to have the preferred line again, the same way that Ricky Hart had that great momentum at a corner number 4 when he was passing, or getting passed by Nick Nickerson, I should say. Yeah, or Lacey's going to kind of clear him out of the exit. But look, Jackson should get a great run there as long as he didn't have to check up. But Lacey will clear, so looks like the 99 car just had to check up to avoid the outside wall. And keep an eye on Kevin Foster. He's going to be breathing right down the back of the number 99's neck, coming through the dog leg in turn number 2.
There you see the 8 car diving deep into the dog leg, but not able to make up too much time that time over the next couple of laps, though. Definitely keep an eye on that 8 as he is going to be hungry, looking to catch up and get by that 99 car just like the 7 did. Right now, though, the 99 Brandon Jackson sitting in 7th, Lacey up to 6th, Kevin Foster, the 8 car, in 8th position. Like you said, the big mover of Tyler Rowland, though, in the DeWalt Supra right now, sitting in 9th position, looking to work his way up as he goes down on the dog leg as well. We'll see how long those tires can hold up, though, going down onto the dog leg like that. Up 5 spots, I believe, from the start. And that's going to be tough not to burn up your tires moving that much. So there you see, looks like we may have a pass right here. That is Christopher Ferrara, driver of the 13 car, getting by Rowland, taking away the 9th position. The 80 car of Rowland. Looks like he may fight back, though. Not able to this lap.
Yeah, you saw their last lap. Tyler Rowland off of turn number 4 took a huge tap off that outside wall, bounced the car pretty good, and took away all his momentum. And momentum here is so key down the front stretch at Phoenix. And Christopher Ferrara took it to his advantage. He'll move up to 9th, and this will be a great battle for the rest of the race, I'd imagine. I mean, last week we saw Rowland was just having battles with everybody. He seems to be a really clean driver that knows what it takes to work in a pack of other drivers and knows how to give room to others when he needs to. And, well, now he's going to get his opportunity. Christopher Ferrara goes too wide there through turn number 1. He did not take the line the way he probably should have. Rowland, huge send through the dog leg, but he is ahead into the braking zone. He's going to have to maybe lift off a little bit more than Ferrara does. Ferrara will likely have the run here down the front straightaway, but no, Rowland will clear him entirely. So Tyler Rowland in the 80 car back up to 9th. Looks to hold on to it as long as he can keep the momentum up from that last stint.
Yeah, huge move for Rowland, as you said, but the 13 car of Ferrara is not going to be one to go down without a fight. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it this lap, but let's go ahead and jump back up to your leader. Nick Nickerson still out front, catching some lap traffic now, though. No one lapped so far in the race, but there is some lap traffic right in front of the 2 car, and that is really going to be tough for him to navigate, especially with the 64 car breathing down his neck, as you can see in the 64 car now to the inside of the 2. See if he can make the pass coming through the dog leg.
Whoa, this is going to be a close 3-wide situation. That was horrible positioning there. Nick Nickerson is not going to be happy with that lap car there. That was just rough placement, not necessarily the lap car's fault, but again, Phoenix, such a small track at the end of the day, so little room to work with, and Ricky Hart will take advantage. He'll take the spot back. And I was just about to say, one of the most important things about lap traffic here at Phoenix, besides the obvious, cars getting in your way, is how important the toe can be. I mean, from a long distance here with the dog leg, you can really draft from anywhere, and Nick Nickerson is doing it right now. Got a great run there through the dog leg on Ricky Hart, but first caution of the day comes out. Lap traffic will matter a little bit less as a result. Only a few guys have been put a lap down to this point. Only 2 to be exact. But first caution of the day, let's go check out what that would have been for.
So it looks like it's an accident between a couple guys. Jason Greenwell involved, as well as Garrett Hall, Peter Murphy, and James Healy. So let's go ahead and head to a replay and see if we can see what happened. We'll be watching Jason Greenwell, driver of the 83 car, right here. So
wow.
Couple guys involved. Let's head back to it one more time. See if we can get a little bit of a better view. So contact between the 88 and the wall. I'm not sure who was on the inside of the 88, but it looked like he may have just got squeezed just a little bit, and Greenwell, just one of the drivers involved, as was the 38 and the 26 car.
Yeah, just looked like a tiny bit of netcode there from that inside car. Tapped the outside car up into the wall, and in such an awkward angle it took when it bounced off that it kind of speared out the other way, back off the wall in front of the pack. And yeah, you'll see it here. Great shot. You see kind of the outside car bounces off, netcoded off the inside car, and just nothing Greenwell could really do. He was going full speed into the corner, and the guys in front kind of barricaded the rest of the track. So Garrett Holland, unfortunate casualty of that incident. Greenwell as well, just kind of getting caught in a bad spot, and trying to tell who that car was ahead up front. Many casualties involved then in that incident. It was a rough set of circumstances off what could have been a very minor collision. But there you go. We're seeing the results of the pit cycle here. Both race leaders Nick Nickerson and Ricky Hart, including Moore, have pitted, making at least temporarily Curtis Yancey your provisional race leader.
Yes, only a couple drivers have not pitted, Curtis Yancey being the first one. Trey Ellis, Matt Crockett, Terry Condis, and Thomas Finsler have also not pitted as of yet, at least, so they will be starting out front. First driver that has pitted, of course, Ricky Hart Jr., followed by Nick Nickerson. But here's Curtis Yancey right now, thinking better of his decision and heading into the pits on the second green flag lap, as is Trey Ellis and Terry Condis, who did not pit before. Matt Crockett and Thomas Finsler, though, will be staying out. So right now it looks as if Matt Crockett is going to lead us to green here. Driver of the 10 car, the foster care car, the Mustang.
One thing that makes that move interesting in the number of drivers that pitted and the number of lap cars that didn't is that all the lap cars sitting ahead of Matt Crockett and the 10 are going to get the wave around. So effectively, I don't think we'll have any cars a lap down on our first caution restart. But the biggest issue that you often have at these tracks with, especially short tracks, with where we start here at Phoenix Raceway, with guys on older tires, is you worry about the tire spin. We had it happen last week, and it caused a caution at Auto Club where the two drivers at the front of the field had very old tires, so they spun a whole bunch when they got up to speed. It checked up the field behind them and caused a massive wreck, or at least made it tough. But luckily for Matt Crockett, he's got Fensler there on the outside, who also has not taken tires. So both guys will have that, tire spin equally. We'll check up the two guys behind them. The unfortunate participants of Hart and Nickerson, just having that great battle for the lead, just came into pit for tires, and now they're stuck behind two guys who have not pitted for new ones. And even though it's 26 laps into the race, it's still going to be considerable difference if you haven't taken any. So it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know if guys will have bothered. Again, as we always talk about, Evan, you can elaborate more into this, but there are a limited number of tire sets here, and at Phoenix, it's going to be so crucial. So interesting to see that early tire strategy at play there with Matt Crockett and Thomas Fensler.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the tires that these guys take a little bit later on. There you see Matt Crockett, his Skype cameras. He is going to be leading this race to green here, starting out front. 34-year-old from Brigham City, Utah, with one top 10 on the season. Getting ready to lead us to green here. So we'll head to a wider cam. Pace car is going to be off. 10 car leading us to green for the second time here at Phoenix. Big jump for the 10 car, not so much for the 17 of Thomas Fensler. Outside line backed up just a little bit, and that's really going to help out the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. It's really going to hurt the 2 of Nick Nickerson. So a big run for the 64. Matt Crockett able to get a good start and hang in there up in first position. I would expect to see the 64 car of Ricky Hart Jr. and a couple of these other guys get by them, but we got 3 wide back here. Fensler up there on the outside, Nickerson in the middle, and Brett Guzik on the bottom is who that was.
Yeah, Brett Guzik, one of the biggest beneficiaries there, that checkup on the outside by Thomas Fensler. The 17 car still trying to get up to speed. You see him on the outside there, just trying to keep it on track. So many guys taking advantage. I hear massive wreck in the background. There is our second caution. Yeah, out of turn number 1, a number of drivers involved in that. We went 26 laps without one, and then in quick succession, now we've gone to 2 cautions on the event. We'll have to see what that was for.
Hunter Henry and Trey Ellis both involved. We're going to head to the instant replay of our second caution and see if we can see what happened. We're going to be following Hunter Henry, driver of the 94 car. See the 51 of Curtis Yancey involved, and that's going to be a really bad for Yancey, a driver that we saw out front.
Yeah, he was a huge contender in tonight's event, and, well, if you want to know how iRacing's collision physics can sometimes be a little bit weird, look at how many bumps Trey Ellis took. He was bouncing off the track like a trampoline. But, yeah, here is the incident. Yeah, Henry just kind of ran the 51 into room a little bit. I mean, a 3 wide into corner 1, never an easy thing, but certainly when you get into you know, a piece of real estate that small, you got to have your spotter telling you where guys are, where you need to look out for. And in that situation, just like Hunter Henry didn't have full awareness of his surroundings in that case, and it got tight there between him and Yancey. The two got together, and again, such a tight track as Phoenix is in the corners, it can be tough to make it by incidents like that. This is on board with Curtis Yancey in particular. You'll see this last bounce that Trey Ellis takes, and that was the one that got into the back of him. He was able to keep it on track, though, quite impressively. So Yancey doing his very best to keep that car in working condition. But yeah, you'll see here into corner number 1 to illustrate what I'm talking about. There's Hunter Henry. A big send by Yancey. I mean, that was, you know what, on second look, you see he kind of lost the back end there on the braking zone. Looks like he locked up pretty hard, and on newer tires trying to get up to speed, that is certainly known to happen. So he locked up. Maybe Henry just wasn't expecting it, and two guys tried to take the same piece of racetrack. So it's one of those incidents. Phoenix is prone to a lot of them, as are any short tracks, and unfortunately a number of casualties involved in that wreck, including, as you were talking about, one of the former top drivers and top of the timesheet guys in this race, Mr. Curtis Yancey.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt the 51 car. Should have a fast repair that he is able to come in and get that fixed, though. Hunter Henry right now being shown in 26th position. And if you look at that, that's really one of those racing incidents where it seemed as just my 2 cents from being up here in the broadcast booth, but Hunter Henry was just trying to dive down into turn 1, and I don't believe that he knew that Curtis Yancey was there on the inside of him. And Curtis Yancey, that may have been one of those times where Yancey should have hit the brakes a little bit harder, not dove in so much, because you don't know that driver in front of you knows that you're on their inside, you know. Yancey, I believe, just sent it in a little bit too hard, hoping that the 94 would realize he was under there, but it was such little time that the 94 couldn't realize that he had somebody on his inside, because Yancey sent it in so late. And Yancey seems like one of those guys that he likes to make decisions, and he likes to live on the riskier side, and this time it just didn't work out for him. Right now, Yancey is going to be scored all the way down in 32nd position. You see the damage to the rear end.
I think in situations like that, you just got to keep in mind the entirety of the real race. I mean, we only just hit the quarter mark at tonight's event. You got plenty of time to work with, and especially at the beginning of new stints. Even if you're confident with your tires, the guys around you aren't necessarily totally up to speed yet on fresh rubber. So, yeah, maybe it's a slight miscalculation. But as you talked about, he's got the quick repair. He's got another chance, and he'll start at the back with fresh tires, which may not actually be that much of a curse. One important thing to mention before we go back to green for the third time tonight, Mr. Matt Crockett still on track there. The second time in a row in which he has not pitted off of a caution, whereas, of course, you saw Thomas Fensler, how much of a struggle the 17 car was having, keeping it on track on old tires. Matt Crockett, presumably on equally old tires, restart from the 3rd position right behind race leader Ricky Hart.
Yeah, Matt Crockett doing a great job to stay up there in now 3rd positions there. You can see he hasn't pitted any time. And also there down in 10th position, Kim Janer, who is also not pitted so far in the race. Ricky Hart Jr. going to lead us to green, though, with Cody Welch on his outside. Pace car is off. One more time, here we go, green at Phoenix. Big jump for the 85 car and a great run for Welch. Ricky Hart Jr. diving down to the inside, but Welch fighting hard on the outside. Matt Crockett struggling a little bit to hold up. Brandon Jackson is going to be down to his inside. 3 wide. Jackson on the inside. Matt Crockett there in the middle. Brandon Jackson with the big send. And on the inside of the 04 of Brett Guzik. Jackson with the beautiful pass and looking to pass Cody Welch now too.
Yeah, Cody Welch did everything he could there to try to get hard off the first lap. Keep an eye a little ways further back on Kevin Foster, the 8 car, now trying to make a move there on the, now going backwards, Matt Crockett, the oldest tire set in the top 10 here. But Brandon Jackson, another big send right to the bottom. The front splitter took a huge bump there off that inside piece of curbing. He is well inside of Welch, so as long as that car can hold up there, try to get the car at the back end to come around, he's done it. Yeah, without too much need to lift. I mean, that's going to burn off a lot of rubber, but again, when you're just trying to go through spots at the beginning of a run, you don't really much care. So Brandon Jackson up into the top 2. He'll pass Cody Welch there right off the start, and keep an eye there up front on Ricky Hart. I mean, this might be the opportunity he needs if these two guys are going to fight behind, but it looks like they won't. Jackson again, mirror copy of what he did just last lap on Welch, going to try to get on your race leader, Ricky Hart. And Jackson played much more of a part in last week's event than Hart did. So let's see if Jackson can do it again. Jackson up to the front on lap number 35. He is making it work tonight here at Phoenix.
New leader 99 car of Brandon Jackson as the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. down to second position. There you can see Jackson up in the top right, the Skype camera. Cool and calm as he heads up to the lead. He has 5 top 5s on the season, including a win at Iowa, and he's looking to make it one more win.
Yeah, the only driver in the series to this point with multiple wins so far in the season is Nick Nickerson, and he is embroiled in a battle with Brett Guzik side by side out of corner number 4. Those two guys are leaving it all on the racetrack, and the 04 car is the unideal top line. Nickerson hasn't been too aggressive there about using the dog leg. Is this the lap where he does so? He's in a perfect position to try it. There we go. Going to go right to the bottom there. Going to send it underneath. He's going to get a good enough run, and he has cleared the 04 car. Brett Guzik, perfect use of the dog leg right there. That was textbook by Nick Nickerson. Now back up into the 4th spot. You see him there on the Skype cam. Always looking pretty calm and composed, and no different in tonight's race.
Yeah, great move there for Nick Nickerson as he looks to get the hometown win here tonight, sitting now in 4th position, but he's got a lot of fast cars in front of him. Cody Welch sitting there in 3rd. Really fast car as well, not to mention the 64 Ricky Hart Jr. and Brandon Jackson. Of course, very fast cars right there in front of him. But one to keep an eye on still, though, the 8 car of Kevin Foster, hanging out here in 6th position right now. He's been hanging out in the top 10 and slowly working his way up. He's definitely one that I think is going to be here at the end of the race tonight. Definitely watch out for that Mustang.
Yeah, that opportunist title that I would have given him after last week's race at Auto Club might come in handy, but in the short term, big move there by Mason Flagar. I was just about to talk about him, the 72 car, having a great night tonight. I mean, you talk about after that tire stint, guys that were just running on long-term tire stints, you would have thought would have been phased out, but the 72 car, that Monster Energy livery, has now moved up past Kevin Foster, a top guy in this series. Mason Flagar, one of the younger drivers in this series. It is paying off for him. Talent over experience in this case, and he might put himself into the top 5 here if he can pass Brett Guzik, who just got passed by Nick Nickerson.
Yeah, great job for the driver, the 72 car, Mason Flagar, only 12 years old, 5 race starts, and no top 5s or top 10s so far, but he's looking to change that here as he looks to challenge the 04 of Brett Guzik right in front of him.
Yeah, doing his very best to get the inside line there up into turn number 1, but just wasn't quite able to clear the back end of Brett Guzik. Looks like he'll still be behind through the corner. Maybe a send through the dog leg this time. If he can get a good run there off the outside line, he's going to try it. Yeah, he would have had momentum there if that brief slipstream at a corner number 2. Might go for it right here, but Nick Nickerson now passes Cody Welch up into the podium positions. Cody Welch here, who's been solid all race, has just been a constant fixture there in the top 3. Now gets bumped out there. Nick Nickerson at his hometown track, he was fastest in practice. The number 2 car is heating up.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson looks like he may be going for the long run a little bit more than the short run today and really trying to focus on that. But let's go ahead and cut to the driver of the 85, Cody Welch, as he looks to battle with Nickerson. He dove to the dog leg, and you see him really trying to fight the wheel as he tries to catch up to Nick Nickerson. And here is you can really see how much these drivers are having to fight the wheel through every single corner here.
Yeah, it's so tough to keep the back end under you in these cars and at the same time avoid understeer. It's such a balancing act of the two factors, and one guy who appears to be doing it great, Brandon Jackson, now extends his lead there up front to over 2 seconds, so he feels comfortable here, and a track very different than Auto Club, where he was finding plenty of pace, plenty of short-term success last week at Auto Club. It's working again for him, so Brandon Jackson appears to be a comfortable name, really, no matter what track we go to in the calendar, as we come towards relatively reaching the near halfway point of tonight's event. Brandon Jackson looks like an early favorite there, and you see him there, just appears to be comfortable again. You notice the guys that are going to lead up front are going to lead a solid portion of a race like this. They're just going to be calm and collected, and looks like they aren't all too stressed about it. And again, another driver that you can say that for, Mr. Brandon Jackson, well clear of Ricky Hart in second. A little ways back though, this battle for second, and now third and effectively almost fourth, because Brett Guzik has gotten in the battle. It is not over.
Yeah, Brett Guzik in the 04 car. Beautiful paint scheme there, if I say so myself. Evan Wall Media there on the hood, down into the dog leg, looking to get past Cody Welch. He's on his inside. He looks like he's going to be able to make the pass, but we'll see how much Welch fights back. Nothing he can do, though. A little bit of a run for Welch, as Welch seems to get a little bit more of a head of steam, but Guzik still going to be on the inside, the preferred line here, going through the corners, and it looks like he's going to be able to make the pass.
Right as he does, though, we have a caution, so great timing there from Brett Guzik. He'll take the spot coming into this next caution period, but we'll have to see on track who that involves. Don't quite see it on my screen yet, but presumably involving enough cars to involve iRacing bringing out our third caution of the night.
Yeah, Brandon Jackson on his Skype camera. Can't see him on the broadcast, but obviously very frustrated. He had a big lead there. Didn't want to see that caution come out. Looks like it's going to be Anthony Caetano, one of the drivers involved, as well as Alan Castle. So yet again, let's head to a replay, see if we can see what happened. Following Anthony Caetano here.
Whoa.
See if we can watch that one more time. Looks like the 83 car just sent it in a little bit too hard. Contacted the 79 of Anthony Caetano and sent him around, and just nowhere to go for Alan Castle, who was there in the background. If we go on board with Alan Castle, let's see what he's looking at. So again, this is the 93 of Alan Castle. The accident happened up in front of him, slowing down.
Unfortunate luck for him there. It was just the spin of that car of Caetano there in front that got him, and yeah, he did exactly what I would have done in his position. Try to go for the top as the car slides down, and just at such a small margin. And you saw there how early the incident happened as he came through the corner. Just horrible luck there for Alan Castle in the 93.
See, as we head back live right now, the drivers involved in that accident. The 83 of Jason Greenwell sitting in 15th position right now, heading out of the pits. Anthony Caetano right now sitting in third, as he is not headed into the pits, and Alan Castle sitting in second. He is also not headed into the pits. Trey Ellis was your leader, but he's heading in right now, leaving Castle and Caetano out front, first and second position. Brandon Jackson going to be sitting in third as of right now, but I'm sure once this green flag cycles around, we will see that changed. So again, while we are here in the middle of the race, we've got just a little bit of a break with our third caution. Going to go ahead and mention Eastwood Detailing, the sponsor of today's race. We'll be having a fire suit raffle as well as breast cancer awareness shirts coming up in October. So if you're interested in that raffle, you can look up Chris Eastwood on Facebook. That is Chris Eastwood, and shoot him a message for a chance to enter and win.
Well, I'll throw it to you here, Evan, as we get to the 50-lap portion of tonight's 125-lap event. Just before, I'd say, about the halfway point, maybe 10 laps. At this point in the race, I mean, we talked about how important it's going to be at the end of the race to make those big moves there at the end and kind of be an opportunist, is the word I used earlier, and take the opportunity on newer tires to make that move there at the end. And do you think that the pace that Brandon Jackson showed this race, it's kind of similar to what he did last week at Auto Club. He had another parallel between the two races. Do you think what happened last week is going to happen again? Do you think this is all just a short-term mirage, and then it'll be somebody here who can be an opportunist late? Or do you think Brandon Jackson shows enough pace and shows enough consistency that he'll be competitive, whether it's a long run here that he seemed to be great at just a moment ago, or even those short-term bursts of 3 or 4 laps there at the end of the race? Do you think he can, keep his success here going through the whole race, even to the very end?
Well, one thing that I do know for sure, Brandon Jackson has the nickname Action Jackson for a reason. He's very good at driving a loose race car. If anything, I would say he could probably drive a loose race car better than most of these drivers in here. So as tires wear, if the car gets loose, I don't think there's anybody that could drive it better than Mr. Brandon Jackson, driver of the 99 car. But who knows? I think what he wants to do is get out front, get a gap, and then try and stay out there. But we're going green now, and a really slow start for Anthony Caetano, who there was starting in second position down to the inside. Alan Castle with the big jump. Kevin Foster looking to take advantage there in second. So Kevin Foster now heading to the lead. Alan Castle going to take it up high in second position for right now, but Cody Welch also looking to take advantage.
Maybe we jinxed him there by talking about the 93 car is in the wall on the outside. I don't know if he got tapped there on his as he got passed by the 95 of Cody, or the 85 of Cody Welch there, but now a huge pack up, a stack up here on the front stretch. We're 2 wide all the way back, 3 wide into the corner. Brett Guzik trying to be the opportunist here, take advantage of that inside line. 4 wide through turn number 1. Things are getting nuts here. The 93 car is just a fish out of water. He is not looking comfortable up there with significant front end damage, but man, Jackson got hung out to dry there in that last restart. Did not get off for Anthony Caetano. That car was not getting up to speed, and well, Jackson has his work cut out for him right here. Just a second ago, he was the race leader, and now after 1 caution, he is fighting his way through the field just to stay in the top 10.
And a huge move there for the 04 car of Brett Guzik, really taking advantage of that pack, taking advantage of the dog leg, diving down there and gaining a lot of positions. But one guy that I want to point out the name of, one that we really haven't talked about much, the 18 car, Mitchell Liam Sullivan, sitting in 7th position right now. He has 2 race starts as of right now, and here he is sitting in 7th, up 15 positions from where he started. Not to mention up front, a driver doing great, 72 car of Mason Flagar, the 12-year-old driver of the series, sitting in 4th position right now as he just got passed by Nick Nickerson, but a great run for him. No top 10s on the season, and right now sitting in 4th position.
It's kind of been the story this season, hasn't it? Once a guy gets into a milestone, whether it be a podium, a top 5, a top 10, they seem to do it in a big fashion, and we just saw it last week. Kevin Foster got his first podium of the season by jumping all the way to 2nd, and we may see it again for Flagar, but here is Liam Sullivan, who you just talked about, battling on the outside, or the inside, I should say, of Curtis Yancey. Now going to go 3 wide with Tyler Rowland to the bottom. We'll have to see a new driver to the top 10 here. What does he do with that spot? Taps Curtis Yancey there, just kind of squeezes him a little bit into that outside wall. Curtis Yancey manages to keep it on track. Is now right behind Benjamin Lacey there in the 7 car. That single file line we've seen a lot all night is going to continue, but 2 wide here out of corner 4. Christopher Ferrara, a guy we talked about a little while ago, he'll make the move on Kevin Foster there, moving up into the top 10. Kevin Foster's about to be sent 3 wide, or looked like he was almost going to be, between Hunter Henry, and I can't tell who the driver there is of the number 21 car, I believe, but he has been active in a lot of battles all night. Huge send there to the bottom. Who was that just ran the dog leg? Somebody taking that line to quite a significant advantage, I should say.
69 of Brandon Trogdon there with that big move, as there he is on the inside of Hunter Henry right now. Henry trying to fight back on the outside, and a driver to take note. Brandon Jackson all the way down to 18th position. Staying out of trouble, but down to 18th. Who knows? He may have decided that he didn't like that pack that he was running with up there, so just hanging back now. But from the lead all the way back down to 18th position, a big move right there. Cody Welch, though, the driver that is out front right now, 58 laps down. And the 85 car out front, Ricky Hart Jr., right on his tail, though.
He is. He is not giving him any breathing room to work with. And Hart doesn't really seem to be trying to reel him in. Right as I say that, he takes the dog leg there. And I think at this point, the most ideal, optimal method would be to stay in a slipstream with the number 85 car and just to try to use the draft to your advantage there down the long straightaways. But once you take the dog leg, if you're a little ways too far back, if anything, you just lose time. So I think Hart, he's a very experienced driver. Again, former series champion in last year's series. We know he has the experience and the patience necessary to win a championship, and he's going to need to use some of that in tonight's battle with Cody Welch if he wants to take home the win tonight at Phoenix Raceway.
There you see the 64 car diving down again, and there in that camera angle you see the 2 car of Nick Nickerson creeping up behind them, looking to gain every little bit that he can. And Gary Wright with an accident into the wall, I believe, but able to make it onto the pit lane. So we're still going to be green here. Cody Welch out front, Ricky Hart Jr. sitting in 2nd position. Nick Nickerson in 3rd.
I think Nick Nickerson's kind of the guy to watch out for in this battle because we saw it just a moment ago. I mean, discount how quick he was in practice and qualifying. We saw how close he was to that pack in behind him, and he was battling Mason Flagar just a moment ago. So the fact that he's made this much progress up front when this battle between Welch and Hart doesn't seem to be slowing them down all that much, that should just be a testament to the two cars' pure pace and the pure amount of speed he showed not just tonight, but even last week at Auto Club, maybe trying to go for vengeance on that win that you could argue should have been his last week if not for a late race caution.
There you see Skype cameras of our top three. Cody Welch there on the left, Nick Nickerson on the top right, and Ricky Hart on the bottom right. There's Nick Nickerson is right on the tail of Cody Welch, or as Ricky Hart Jr. is right on the tail of Cody Welch and Nick Nickerson directly behind them.
There's Terry Condis there, the 32 car, just moving to the outside. He's going to let the leaders by, so Cody Welch, that was much more optimal than the alternative for him, but Ricky Hart almost got the opportunity there. 64 car coming real close to the back bumper of the 85, but Cody Welch able to dodge out of the way of traffic there and continue his conquest to hold down the lead. But again, we got a big pack of lap cars here up front, about 3 cars coming through turn 1 as we speak, so that's going to be a huge factor in the remainder of this race right as we get to the halfway point at the beginning of the next lap. We got only about half an hour left if we don't have any more cautions, and that is a significant period of time. But for Cody Welch, if he's got to deal with lap traffic for the lead all night, it's going to feel like an eternity.
And a big dive in right there for the 64 car of Ricky Hart Jr. Looking to make the move to the inside. He's going to have the position as of right now, but we'll see if he can hold it. The 85 car of Cody Welch fighting hard to his outside. So we pull up, let's just look at Cody Welch and Ricky Hart Jr. Welch able to take the position back for right now, but the 64 car of Ricky Hart Jr. still charging hard. The 85 takes the dog leg. The 64 decides not to. We'll see if the 64 gets any momentum heading down into this turn. And a lapped car up in front. That's going to be the 6 car of Gary Wright. I believe we'll see how they're able to handle them.
Such a good run there on turn number 4. I mean,
the yellow flag's going to be out.
There he is. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting run there. I mean, one thing I've been seeing right as we just about before we go to the caution, Cody Welch has done an amazing job there, running close to the high line and utilizing that outside line to his advantage. So Cody Welch here, he is looking comfortable tonight. Great race for him so far.
You see the 32 car of Terry Condis sideways in the middle of the track. So lap 65 of a 125. Let's head see if we can see what happened. Going to be following the 32 car of Terry Condis right now. Up into the wall a little bit and some contact, I believe, with Trogdon, and Hunter Henry with the big hit. Didn't have anywhere to go. So one more time, let's ride along with the 32 car of Terry Condis. Looks like he was just really tight, got up into the wall, then spun around when the 69 of Trogdon didn't have anywhere to go, and unfortunately, Hunter Henry didn't have anywhere to go as well. So that's going to bring out the caution here, lap 66 of 125. Terry Condis listed in 34th position right now after that accident. I know we have a lot of Hunter Henry fans that always watch, so 16th position for Hunter Henry, driver of the 94 car right now. You see him on the dog leg. The beautiful Ford Mustang, the Chrome 94 of Hunter Henry, listed in 16th position. Couple drivers pitting: Kevin Foster, Alan Castle, Brandon Jackson, James Healy, Greenwell Crockett, and Marshall Moran all in the pits right now. There you see the 99 heading out.
Yeah, you alluded to there, Evan, that the 99 car may be planning on intentionally moving back a little bit, just trying to stay out of the way of trouble, and there we go. He has left the pits, and yeah, he was down to like 20th, 21st there by the end of that stint, so unless he was just really losing pace and losing the ability to work in traffic, it looks like that must have been the only option, that he was just intentionally trying to dive back a little bit. And just to give everybody some context, I think I was working on a slightly replay-oriented display there for a moment. I believe I was on about a 20-second time delay. So if I was replaying incidents that were or that had happened just a moment ago or passes on track, hopefully that doesn't last too long. Even though I may have moved back to a commentary role, Evan, always going to make some mistakes on my end. So here we go. I promise I'll call the real live race from this point on in the broadcast.
It happens. I didn't even notice.
Perfect. Well, hey, that should just say something about how good our battles are, that a battle I was calling a little ways back was still happening by the time we went live. And man, Cody Welch and Ricky Hart, they were making it fun there up front. You see there again, Cody Welch probably not what he wanted to see. He was gaining some pace there by the end of that stint and starting to pull away from Ricky Hart. And Welch has shown promise all season that he can go for that second win. It's always a factor no matter where we go, even the road courses. So that suggests that he's a guy that knows the car well, is very comfortable running these Xfinity cars. And Phoenix is a track with how important it is to stay off that outside wall whilst also keeping your momentum up there. It's so important to balance the two, and being able to do so and knowing the car is so key to that, and being comfortable that you're not going to hit that outside wall. So Cody Welch using what appears to be an all-around knowledge of one of these stock cars, using it to his advantage tonight to try to hold off Ricky Hart.
So the lights are going to be out on the pace car now. The 85 of Cody Welch going to lead us to green. Here in the Eastwood detailing, 125 at Phoenix. The 85 of Welch, again, leading us to green. 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. To his outside. Inside of the second row is going to be the 2 car of Nick Nickerson. And then the outside of the second row, the 04 of Brett Guzik. 7 car of Benjamin Lacey right there as well. So the pace car.
Pace car is going to take the hard left onto pit road, and Mason Flagar, another guy there, sitting in 6th, still up there towards the top of the field. Guy to keep an eye on, but the green flag goes out. So Cody Welch, for the first time all race, will lead the field to green to my knowledge, and he has got Nick Nickerson breathing right down the back of his neck. Great jump for the number 2 car. The hometown driver here, an Arizona native. He is working that inside the line there through turn number 2. He'll make the move on Ricky Hart. Turn number 1, I should say. Immediately the caution comes back out. That'll be caution number 5 on the day. Right as Nickerson takes 2nd place, the caution comes out.
Caution out, but I believe Nickerson will get 2nd place. So Nickerson going to be starting on the outside line this time. First row, though. And not exactly sure what that was for. I believe Alan Castle, the driver, involved. So let's head to a replay, see if we can see what happened under this yellow. So these guys heading to green, looking at the 93 car of Alan Castle up on the outside in the 39. Looks like he got into him just a little bit. Wasn't able to tell. The 39 driver of the 39 car is... I'm not sure who drives the 39. James Healy. Driver of the 39 car is James Healy. So we're going to watch now Alan Castle in the 93, James Healy in the 39. They're on the outside line. Castle moves up high and slowed down just a little bit. Possibly missed a shift or something maybe, but Healy just didn't anticipate that and got into the back of the 93 of Castle, and it sent him around. So Alan Castle right now sitting in 31st position and heading onto pit lane as we head back live, or heading out of pit lane, I should say.
Yeah, poor Alan Castle. He has not had the luck go his way tonight, whether it be that incident earlier that he just wasn't able to get out of the way of, or right there just was really helpless to the drivers behind him as they checked up into one. It's not been an easy night there for the driver of the number 93, and well, it really hasn't been an easy night for a lot of guys. The only guys that appear to have been safe from incidents to this point are anybody sitting in the top 8, maybe top 10. As always seems to happen here, Evan, at these short tracks, the leaders, if you're somebody who can seem comfortable and can run up front and hold consistent pace, guys seem to be good at that top level of competition, avoiding incidents and keeping out of the walls and keeping each other out of the walls, more importantly. And that's one thing I've been really impressed with all season, and we're still seeing that tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, so here we are now riding along with the 2 car of Nick Nickerson, sitting in 2nd place, the hometown driver of the number 2 car. And something that I want to show you once we get around to the other side of the track is this sun setting. I'm not sure if it's really in the driver's eyes yet, but if it's not in their eyes yet, it will be soon. You can see how beautiful the sunset is over there, but when you're looking directly at the sun, it's not as beautiful when you're inside this car. So once we get around this turn, you ought to be able to see it. It could have gone down behind the mountains now. I'm not exactly sure, but let's see. So you see Nick Nickerson is going to be up under Cody Welch. Nickerson going to be starting in 2nd, and Lacey in 4th. Guzik in 5th, Flagar in 6th. Great run for Flagar. It didn't look like the sun was really anything there. It was close, but it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything that it looks like will bother the drivers, from what I can tell.
Well, it does allude to the fact that the lights could maybe come into play. So I know we're pretty early on in session time. I don't think we'll be under the lights properly by the end of the race, properly into nighttime, but it is in session about 7 o'clock at night. So always the potential for track conditions to change, and you got to think that'll affect the track temperature, which will in turn affect grip. So this track here at Phoenix is going to change over the course of the race, but the pace car lights are off as we come around corner number 4. But to get going for the 6th time tonight, Cody Welch going to lead the field to green from that more ideal inside line, at least this early in the run. Nick Nickerson got a great run last time, but that was from the inside line behind the race leader, Cody Welch. We'll see if he can do it again from the outside line. And green flag tonight for the 6th time here at Phoenix Raceway. Cody Welch up to turn number 1, but a great jump from Nick Nickerson. He did not give him any room to work with, but keep an eye on Ricky Hart Jr. Almost clears the back end of Nickerson, and almost immediately, caution number 6 comes out just like that. Welch should have had the position into the caution, but we went a long time there in that first green flag stint for about 30 laps, and since then we've had a couple rapid fire cautions, maybe the changing conditions, or maybe some guys just getting a little bit more lax later in the race.
Good bit of drivers involved in this one. Dustin Franklin, the first one that I see. Also Jason Greenwell, Gary Wright, Alan Castle again, Brandon Trogdon again, and Brandon Jackson all involved in that. So let's head to a replay. We're going to be following the driver of the 60 car of Dustin Franklin on this restart.
Whoa.
So you see trouble at the start and nowhere for some of these guys to go. Let's see if we can look at it one more time and get a little bit of a better view. So it all happens in front of the 60 car. Let's rewind just a little bit, watch it one more time. So everybody just gets piled up, the 26, the 48, the 60, they all, just the accordion effect gets them piled up, and luckily the 6 car of Gary Wright, a great job of slamming on the brakes and stopping there. But let's see what some of these other guys, let's see what happened to some of these other guys. We're going to follow along with Brandon Jackson now. He was involved as well. He's up there on the outside line. See the 99 car. So the 8 of Kevin Foster, another one involved. 2 really fast cars. The 8 of Kevin Foster looked like he just came up the track, got into the 99 of Jackson, and nowhere for them both to go. They'll both have to use quick repairs.
Well, we alluded to the fact earlier, Evan, that we thought that Brandon was trying to go backwards intentionally just to avoid wrecks exactly like this one. And as you see there, Kevin Foster really nowhere to go for his own sake, and got kind of catapulted up there to the top. And then Jackson, in an attempt to go to the top, which again was the ideal line, the more ideal place to try to go to avoid, just bad move, wrong place, wrong time in that situation. And we talked about it earlier. We thought he was going back intentionally to avoid something like that. And sometimes at the short tracks, the best move is to stay out front where it's safe rather than try to rely on your ability to avoid a wreck. Because as you see right there, it is not always possible to do so. Wild ride there for the number 99 car. Brings out the 6th caution of the day.
All right, so gonna head back live here. Nick Nickerson gonna be out in front. Cody Welch in second. As Nickerson, it looks like, was able to make the pass. Welch in second. Hart in third. Benjamin Lacey, 4th position. The 04. Brett Guzik in 5th. And Mason Flagar in 6th position. A great run from him. Best run this season that I have seen. In the comments, David Leakey, driver here for the league, says that his money is going to be on Nick Nickerson. He's definitely not the only one. The driver of the 2 car, very fast, now sitting in the lead. He's obviously the quickest guy at the road courses, but he's trying to get it done here at his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. And there you see the smile from the 2 car of Nick Nickerson as the lights are out on the pace car, and he looks to get ready to go on lap 78 of 125.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson, he's been incredible, as we know, at the road courses. Was almost untouchable at Long Beach and Daytona road course, but we shouldn't discount his oval abilities this season. I feel like every race I call where I see Nick Nickerson, he is at some point there up front, and more often than not will lead laps. So Nick has been incredible this year, no matter what the discipline. Now it's just a case of how can he convert late in the race. At Phoenix, always the most important thing. I talked about earlier how important those late race tire stints are going to be, trying to prioritize the short run there if we get our late race caution. But the pace car is in onto pit road. Nick Nickerson will lead the field of green tonight for what I believe is the very first time of the race. Now Cody Welch to his outside. Nickerson will get up, he'll clear Welch, and he'll get the more ideal outside the line into turn number 1.
Huge jump for Nick Nickerson as he's able to secure that spot. Cody Welch in second, Ricciard Jr. in third, and Lacey was trying to battle, but there you see a big jump again for the 51. Curtis Yancey sending it down into the dog leg. Though for Brett Guzik sending it there as well. Guzik looking to gain spots on the 7 of Benjamin Lacey. Guzik sitting in 5th. Yancey sitting in 6th. You see Guzik to the inside of the 7 car as they head down into the turn. The 7 car is going to be up a little bit too high, and the 04 is going to be able to make the pass. 51 going to follow him, but the 51 looking to make the pass on Guzik as well.
Curtis Yancey is doing exactly what I was talking about there just a moment ago. About late in the race, you're going to have the ability to make big moves and use those new tires to your advantage, and that 51 is just sending it. He is wheeling that car around the track. Brett Guzik just a moment ago got the move done on the 7 car as he pressured that car on the inside to make a mistake, or the outside to make a mistake, and looks like what Yancey's trying to do right now. But side by side for second, Ricky Hart getting to the bottom of Cody Welch. The top 2 from earlier in the race, Nickerson and Hart, were battling a while ago. I believe the top 2 in the last season's championship, so they know each other quite well. That battle could be rekindled in just a moment, but Cody Welch, you got to think he is not done. Cody has just shown a lot of comfort, a lot of dominance tonight here at Phoenix Raceway, and, well, he's still in the slipstream, so until Ricky can clear him a little ways further than that, I don't think this battle for second is over.
Terry Condis with an accident, though, able to get it off track quick enough that there's not a caution, so the 32 car involved with some. But there you see the 51 of Curtis Yancey sending it deep into the dog leg yet again. I believe in practice he was saying that he was having a little bit of trouble running this track. I believe it was the driver of the 51. It looks like he's got it right now, though, in every single lap, sending it deep into the dog leg, trying to gain as much time as he can.
Again, I think I worry that guys are going to start to use that dog leg like a crutch. I feel like the best asset that is for is that the track gets so much wider and provides a great passing opportunity. The same reason that Auto Club is so great last week for passes is because there's just so much real estate to work with once you get a run. And that's kind of what the dog leg is for. But you see the guys up front ahead of Yancey, like Brett Guzik, who's closing in on Cody Welch. If you just run the high line, you prioritize your run on and off the corner on entry and exit, you're going to make much more time up over the average lap than you would running the dog leg, because not only do you burn tires, but you also decrease your momentum into turn number 3, which is crucial to get the run down the backstretch. So now Welch going to go to the inside, may have the move there on Hart, and Guzik will follow in line just to try to keep the slipstream to the 85 car in front.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson hasn't been able to gain a serious lead out in front. He's only half a second ahead of Ricky Hart Jr. there in second, and that gap is closing quickly. So Ricky Hart Jr., at least into the turns, able to make up some time on Nick Nickerson. But down to the dog leg for the driver of the 2 car as well.
And again, you'll see here, the 64 is going to make up momentum. He's going to be right behind him as he comes down that front straightaway. So not using the dog leg in terms of gaining momentum and making up track room to the guy in front, it's beneficial until you need to make that pass. And right here, the 64 right on the back bumper of the 2 into turn number 1. Thought he might try to send it to the inside there, but here, this is going to be where the 64 uses it, I guarantee it. Going to get the slipstream there right off the start. No, decides to wait. Nickerson will use it instead, and I think the 64 could get him this time. He's going to have a much more ideal line into the corner, but Cody Welch there trying to spoil the party. The 2 car below the yellow line. He is really sending it there on the inside. Hart's going to get to his outside. He's going to clear him from the outside, and he'll have the run down the front stretch. Ricky Hart, you see there on the left side of the Skype in VR. You can't see his face, but he is looking comfortable there on the track. Side by side for the lead through turn number 1. Cody Welch in the catbird seat. Keep an eye on him. If he gets a good run there off the 64 car, as Nickerson goes back into the dog leg, could send it 3 wide, but again, 4 wide, not out of the question. Look at Brett Guzik right back there, waiting for his moment. And Ricky Hart doing a great job of conserving tires there from the outside line, but he's still involved in that battle with Nick Nickerson side by side across the line as we start lap number 88.
Yeah, Ricciard Jr. out front right now. Now the battle between Cody Welch and Nick Nickerson there for second position. But look at Brett Guzik looking to make something happen. He's not battling side by side. He's right behind these guys. That means he's able to save his tires just a little bit better. We'll see if the 04 car is going to be looking to make something happen. If there's trouble between the 85 and the 2, maybe even before then.
Still side by side at a 4. Nick Nickerson, he appears to be losing momentum there. I wonder if those tires are just going a little bit quicker than the guys around him as he's having trouble keeping grip there through the corners. Welch now going to go to the outside, but much better run there into the corner. They'll have great momentum down the back stretch. And this is, in this case, don't use the dog leg. This is where you just want to stick up top and let that run carry you. But Brett Guzik there, not subscribing to the same mentality, almost went 3 wide. Nickerson, though, great run there through the dog leg to stay to his inside. Again, though, Welch to the outside. He's keeping his tires for the longer run, and it is working. Nick Nickerson into the pits, almost like the last-second decision. You saw there having to move the wheel a little bit to get down, but Nick Nickerson, a really interesting choice to pit now. I think he's going to inevitably lose a lap with how short the run is here. We know that Nick has been quick in the pits in the 2-car all season, but very bold strategy choice from Nick Nickerson. I guess he's banking on a long green flag run to round off this race.
Yeah, bold strategy choice, but we'll see how it works out for him. 64 car still out front. Cody Welch in second, but the real battle now. Oh, never mind. Guzik going to be heading into the pits as well. Bill Harkins, another driver in the pits. Ricciard Jr. out front. We'll see how long he can stay out front without heading into the pits himself.
Yeah, Nickerson pitting, I think, is exactly what Ricky Hart wanted to see. It's going to hang Cody Welch out to dry and prevent him from getting the slipstream he needs. This is the battle between Yancey and Lacey, 2 guys who have had very different races at this point, but Yancey comes down pit road. He is going to subscribe to the trend set there by Nick Nickerson on the first lap. So will Welch. So Ricky Hart, race leader, the only guy left on track, and to go for the overcut at this point on the guys in behind. One guy, though, to mention, as we see Lacey still on track after that brief battle with Curtis Yancey. We're rolling now. I know it may be on strategy, and currently he's one of the last guys to not pit here in this top 5, or in the top 10, I should say. But hey, Tyler Rowland, he got 1 top 5 so far this season, had a pretty great race last week at Auto Club. He is in the top 3 late in this event, and as the lights go down here at Phoenix, he may light it up here late in the race if we can get a caution, and he can be as much of an opportunist as he was last week.
Getting dark here at Phoenix, and Mitchell Liam Sullivan also heading onto pit road, as is Christopher Farrar and Thomas Finsler. Brandon Trogdon also in. There you see the 64 car Ricciard Jr. battling with a little bit of lap traffic directly in front of him. That's going to be the 6 car of Gary Wright, I believe. Yes, 6 car of Gary Wright. 64 able to get around his outside, though, and Mason Flagar now pitting in from the 5th position.
I got to say, I really like the call here from Hart to not come into the pits here. I think if this aggressive strategy call by, at this point, almost half the field, if it doesn't work and guys lose a lap, which they have, Nick Nickerson is currently the lucky dog driver. He's the first guy a lap down. If we get a caution, oh no, he is standing out. I thought he was coming down pit road, but if we get a caution here and all the chaos of guys entering and exiting pit road in the pit cycle, which, keep in mind, is in the dog leg, we might see some sort of chaos. And if we get a caution this late in the race right now, think of how many guys Ricky Hart puts a lap down. Like I say, just keep it out there. If you're confident in your car, you're confident the guys on new tires won't gain enough track ground that it'll affect you late in the race. I say just keep doing what you're doing. I think this is a really bold, veteran, experienced move here by Ricky Hart. I'm a really big fan. And Benjamin Lacey, who is behind him, who was gaining time, now starting to lose that time back. So Ricky Hart in the 64 car, maybe all by himself. Lost all of his buddies he was battling with a minute ago, but hey, he is looking comfortable here late in tonight's event.
Yeah, I really like the call from Ricky Hart Jr. as well. The way that we've seen this race go, it hasn't been full of cautions, but it hasn't been void of them either. And it definitely wouldn't surprise me to see something happen here. So who knows how long Ricky Hart Jr. is going to be able to last. But staying out front till there's a caution is not a bad call at all. But there you see him heading into pit road right now. Tyler Rowland from 3rd also heading in. That means Benjamin Lacey, driver of the 7 car and last week's winner, is going to be your leader here at Phoenix. Lap 97 of a 125.
So I feel like this now becomes a balance because with Nickerson being the first guy to really commit to that strategy there, be the first guy to come down pit road, he's probably going to make up the most time because he's spent the most time of anybody who pitted on those fresher tires. There goes Cody Welch there on the outside trying to get his lap back. He will now that Nickerson is pitted, but Lacey has said enough is enough. I'm losing time. I'm heading down pit road. So I think it's a trade-off now because Nick Nickerson, once the pit cycle starts to work its way out, he should be the race leader provisionally with his amount of time he made up there on the undercut. But again, Ricky Hart there in the end is probably going to save about 4 or 5 laps on tires, which doesn't sound like much. But if we get to a position where guys are out of tire sets there for potentially a late race restart, those could be crucial. So the 64 car, you see him there on the inside of Kevin Foster, now your new race leader. As I think the 8 car, he's going to stay out. So I think guys are good on fuel. I think it's just a case of tire strategy here for the very end. And you got to think guys that are on teams are going to be communicating with each other. And really, I think Nick Nickerson being a guy that people trust so much here at this track, he's the hometown driver. I mean, he was fastest in practice. I think he was the trendsetter, and guys just trust his word here on tire strategy. So that was a huge atomic bomb drop to the rest of the field. And since then, you see there on the bottom right, the pit stop strategy. Guys haven't been here on fuel that long. You can make this car go well longer than that. And there is the caution. That is going to be huge because that freezes the pit cycle. Kevin Foster gets a free pit stop. And who is still a lap down? That could have a huge effect on tonight's race. Victor Weaver in the 23 car has gone around.
And to the instant replay right here. We're on board with the 23 car of Victor Weaver. See if we can see what happened. It looks like he just got a little bit loose there coming out of the corner and sideways there in the middle of the track. Down to the inside so that he doesn't get hit by anyone. And he's just going to hang out right there till everyone gets by him. Let's see if we can watch it one more time from an exterior view. So again, the 23 car of Victor Weaver in the Menard Supra. Yeah, just out of the corner. He gets loose and nothing he can do to save it and can't really get out of the racing surface right there. So Kevin Foster, of course, going to be heading down pit road, as is Benny Hogan, Matt Crockett, Curtis Michaelis, Dustin Franklin, Marshall Moran, and Anthony Caetano. Looking at the 4 car of Trey Ellis, as he is your leader for the time being.
Really impressed there that Weaver was able to keep it out of the inside wall. But as I just said a moment ago, Evan, this changes everything. That caution happening at that particular moment is going to put so many guys out of the loop. And I mean, Bill Harkins to be one of them that I just saw there that's a lap down. Christopher Ferrara, I don't believe, is the lucky dog driver. I think that'll go to Benjamin Lacey. So Benjamin Lacey gets lucky there. But guys like Garrett Hall, Thomas Fensler, Mitchell Liam Sullivan, who had such a big part earlier in this race, all those guys are now put a lap down just as a result of when they decided to pit. So Nick Nickerson was quick enough that he was able to be in an opportune spot that when it came out, he now sits third and on, I believe, newer tires than the 2 guys in front who did not pit, those being Trey Ellis and Brandon Jackson. Those 2 guys are going to struggle for grip there at the very beginning, but Nick Nickerson, that strategy worked. And the important guy to look out for, Ricky Hart, because of when that caution came out, he didn't have time to make up all that time on the longer strategy now that his tires were fresher. Ricky Hart, your former race leader, now sits all the way down in 16th.
Yeah, that's going to really hurt for him. And this caution coming here with 24 laps to go, really throwing a wrench in a lot of these guys' plans.
Well, this is really going to be where things get shaken up. I mean, again, Trey Ellis and Brandon Jackson, 2 guys that haven't pitted for tires in over 20 laps. They are not going to be in a position to go to the end. I'm really curious to see what their plan is, because if you're them, you're banking on another caution. You're just trying to wait as long as possible to put on a fresh set of rubber so that by the end of the race, you are even more of a factor than you already are now, just from a spot further back. But Nick Nickerson, he's got everything balanced. I mean, he's got fairly new tires, only about 7 or 8 laps old. He just pitted a moment ago. He's good to the end, probably on tires. They won't be great, but they'll certainly get him there to the end of the race. I mean, 12 laps, but you think maybe 3 or 4 of those were under caution. So really only about 8 laps in those tires for Nick Nickerson. So to the end of the race, he doesn't have a long way to go, and he can probably get there on tires. So at that point, the only guys that are taking a risk on whether they can do it on strategy are the guys that, like Ricky Hart, are going to be a little bit newer on tires, are going to be a little bit better there at the end of the run. But in the short term, you got to make passes. So many guys in different spots there as a result of that yellow. Important thing to mention before we go green for just a moment, Mason Flagar, who currently sits 8th, we talked about him plenty tonight. You saw it there on the pit tire strategy graphic. Unless that was a glitch, he had gone a long way on that last stint before the pit stop. So he knows what it's like to go a long ways. We know that he's going to have more fresh sets of tires, and he may use that to his advantage here. This is going to be huge. Jackson to the outside, Ellis to the inside. They're going to start this next restart. Two guys who have not pitted for new tires. We'll see if they check the field up. Can Nickerson, Ellis, Welch, and Guzik on new tires take advantage? Up to the green flag here to go. 22 laps to go when we cross the line. Trey Ellis is the control car from the inside line. Huge jump by the number 4 car. Jumps even Nick Nickerson, who's on newer tires. Jackson is going to be in a rough spot. Action Jackson's going to need to work that number 99 car to stay up front in the top 2. Huge shoves from Welch, the 85 car, doing his best to get the number 99 car around corner number 1. 3 wide, 4 wide. Guys all over the dog leg on lap number 1 of the restart.
Yeah, big moves there from the 99 car, and there you look 3 wide, the 51 inside of the 99. Yancey making some big moves, looking to work his way up into 3rd position now, cutting off Brett Guzik down there on the bottom in the 04. Guzik looking to make big moves as well, but Trey Ellis still sitting up there in 2nd position. May fall a little bit now, as there Yancey down so far, he took out the cone. Up to 2nd position though.
If that doesn't tell you how aggressive Curtis Yancey's been with the dog leg all race, I don't know what will. But Cody Welch kind of got screwed over there by the start there on the restart. He was sent backwards by a couple of guys just having rough restarts. Trey Ellis now going backwards. Dustin Franklin, who had a really tough run earlier. Remember, he had an incident early in the race. Former race leader this season. He is moving through. And there is Ricky Hart Jr. already up 7 spots off the restart. He is taking advantage of the freshest tires in the field. One guy to note is Nick Nickerson now a 2nd clear of the guys behind. The hometown driver, quickest in practice. He is making that number 2 car. Well, he's making it purr. He's running away from the guys behind. Keep an eye on Eddie Hagee, a guy we haven't talked about barely at all throughout tonight's race, but the number 97 car, don't know where he is on tire strategy, but he sits up there in 4th, and he looks like he's got momentum to spare here as he tries to get by Brett Guzik underneath into corner number 1.
Yeah, great run tonight for Eddie Hagee right now, sitting in 4th position like you said. But keep an eye on that 8 car, Kevin Foster. We talked about him a little bit earlier. I always say he's one guy that's really good at conserving his tires and being there at the end. And here he is, 18 laps to go, 2nd position, and gaining on Nick Nickerson there in the lead as Curtis Yancey does his best to hold on to 3rd.
Yeah, got his season best finish last week at Auto Club in 2nd. And there is Brett Guzik, just the tiniest mistake in corner number 1, going 2 wide can absolutely brutalize your race. And there is Ricky Hart behind him. You got to think the guy with the most momentum of anybody in the field here. He is working hard to get back through the field. Kind of got messed up there by Nick Nickerson's strategy, which worked to wonders, to perfection there with the caution. So Ricky Hart underneath Brett Guzik. Guzik's going backwards. Hart is going forwards. The 64 car underneath. He'll move up into 6th on exit, you got to think. He's going to have a much better run. He's got the dog leg to use if he needs to. And there is Cody Welch, but a caution again. 8th caution of the night. That is going to be huge.
Caution out with 17 to go. Nick Nickerson in the 2 car out front. Victor Weaver, the driver involved. Let's take a look at it. So we're looking at the 23 of Victor Weaver. 17 of Finsler was on his outside. And Trey Ellis with big damage there as well. So it looks like damage for Weaver, Ellis, and Finsler. Let's see if we can see it one more time. Again, following the 23 of Victor Weaver, Finsler in that 17 up on his outside. Weaver may have thought that he was clear. Just didn't know that Finsler was up there and nowhere to go for the 4 car of Trey Ellis. Hard impact for him. And that's going to, unfortunately, be the 2nd accident for Victor Weaver. I don't know if he used his fast repair last time. But if he did, going to be out of luck here. So there you see him in the pits right now. So one driver on pit road, an important driver on pit road, Brandon Jackson, driver of the 99 car, currently in 14th position. We saw him out front a good bit earlier, out front recently, but on some older tires, and now heading into the pits, getting new tires with 15 laps to go. I don't know how far back he's going to be starting, but he'll be a driver to watch on brand new tires.
I mean, yeah, you saw how much ground Ricky Hart made up there last time. Was up 7 spots in 2 laps on a fresh set of rubber, and now you think that Jacksons are going to be even newer than the rest of the field up front than Hart's were in the same position. So I like the position he's going to be in. I know with not a lot of time to work with, it's probably not ideal, but if guys up front really start to lose tire grip there by the end of the run, it could be the opportunity needs for Jackson to kind of pull an inverse of what happened to him last week at Auto Club, where everybody behind was just on newer tires by the end of the race, took advantage and made the moves they needed to. And I mean, Evan, we call him Action Jackson for a reason. He's known to make some big aggressive passes if he needs to. And if he's able to rattle just a couple of those off one by one, we could be seeing the 99 car pulling again, kind of the opposite of what happened to him last week.
Yeah, so right now you can see Nick Nickerson has 22 laps on his tires sitting there up front. Foster only has 11. But yeah, you go down, Jackson's going to be starting back in 17th position, I believe, and that's going to be brand new tires for him back in 17th position. So definitely one to keep an eye on, even though he'll be starting out fairly far back. He'll have some new tires. As also, I believe Dustin Franklin will be heading in for new tires. Dustin Franklin a little ways further back, though.
I gotta say, I really think that, of course, Nick Nickerson, he's the favorite until he gets past. I mean, we saw how quick he was in practice. He was well clear of anybody else in the field by almost a tenth of a second. He's really quick. It's a hometown track. You know he's been putting in the effort to be quick this week. But, man, I mean, guys behind are just in better situations. This will be Nick earning his oval chops here. If he gets his first oval win of the season, becomes not only the first driver to get multiple wins this year, as is currently the only driver with 2 wins, but if he could send it to 3, he's going to have to earn it. I mean, Kevin Foster did the exact same thing to him last week, getting newer tires towards the end of the race and making them count. Again, you talked about it, Evan, 11-lap newer tires. That is significant here at Phoenix. I know some of them may have been run under yellow flag conditions, but also keep an eye on Eddie Hagee there. He's about 14 laps into a tire stand as well. And right behind, he's only 3 laps older than that of Foster's. So many guys up front to keep an eye on. And Ricky Hart, the newest tires of anybody in the top 10. He was a race leader earlier on tonight for a reason. Got to think he's going to be a heavy mover. So many pieces in play right now, and with only 12 laps to go when we take the green flag, like I just said, Nick Nickerson is going to have to earn it.
Lights are off on the pace car, and the pace car going to take the dive onto pit road. Nick Nickerson going to be leading us to green with Kevin Foster on his outside, and 13 laps to go. We're back going here at Phoenix. Guys getting stacked up in the back, but a big jump for Nick Nickerson. Foster going to be on the outside now, battling with Yancey, who's going to take the dive to the inside, looking to take away second position. And a big move for Ricky Hart Jr. there in the background. There's, you see, the 51 car deep onto the dog leg.
Yeah, we saw last run, though, Kevin Foster, occasionally it takes him a little while to get up to speed, get those colder tires, I should say, up to temp and at racing speed. But there he goes. He clears Curtis Yancey, and Eddie Hagee looking for what I believe would be podium 1 on the season. The 97 car is now going to be the next challenger for Curtis Yancey, who is on older tires than most of the rest of the field. And Ricky Hart, there to the outside, another caution. Caution number 9 brings the field to a halt. And this late race dash for the finish is going to get even shorter after caution number 9. I believe there is Peter Murphy, presumably involved, and he does share the branding of tonight's race sponsor. So unfortunate late race casualty there in the number 38 car.
We're going to go ahead and follow along with Peter Murphy, driver of the 38 car, with 10 laps to go here. So down into the dog leg for the 38. And 3 wide there. Contact with the driver of the 26 car, Garrett Hall. And took him around. So one more time from a different camera angle. Let's watch that again. So following the 38 and the 26.
Yeah, it just looked like to me that he wasn't aware of Trey Ellis being up there up top to make it a 3 wide. He sent it down there with the confidence that he was going to be comfortable there going 3 wide or what he thought was 2 wide with Garrett Hall there up top. So just a small miscommunication, and just like that, you see how tough it can be to try to run the dog leg in a large pack here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm going to say Peter Murphy just wanted to get that Eastwood Detailing name said one more time. So there you see him circling around, and since that involved Peter Murphy, sponsored by Eastwood Detailing, I'm going to go ahead and mention one more time that this race is sponsored by Eastwood Detailing. The Eastwood Detailing 125 here at Phoenix, and Eastwood Detailing will be having a fire suit raffle as well as breast cancer awareness shirts coming up in October. So if you're interested in that raffle, then you can look up Chris Eastwood, C-H-R-I-S, space E-A-S-T-W-O-O-D, Chris Eastwood on Facebook, and shoot him a message for your chance to enter the raffle. and win. And just again, a thank you to Eastwood Detailing and Chris Eastwood and Peter Murphy for sponsoring today's race. If anyone is interested in sponsoring a race or a broadcast, go ahead and mention a comment or just get in contact with myself or Bill Harkins. There's always sponsorship opportunities for races available. I don't know if there's any more races available, but there are always sponsorship opportunities available on the broadcast. So there you can see the 38 car heading onto pit road, as is the 6 of Gary Wright. The 2 of Nick Nickerson, still going to be our race leader here at Phoenix. The 8 of Kevin Foster, directly behind him.
Okay, Evan, well, we do this every time we get a late race caution here in any race. Who's your pick? I mean, as you see there, the pit stop strategy, that's going to be the biggest thing we need to keep in mind there. Ricky Hart and Kevin Foster, both 17 laps apiece on these sets of tires. Going to be the shortest of anybody in the top 10, but Nick Nickerson, who was on 28 laps worth of tires, he's been the favorite all night. So Evan, who's your pick tonight?
Well, if it wasn't for pit strategy, I would have to say my pick would be Nick Nickerson.
Right.
But considering the pit strategy and the laps that these guys have on tires, I think Kevin Foster is due for a win here. I think he's going to be another new winner this season. That's what I'd have to say. Starting there in second position, only now 18 laps on his tires. I'd have to say he's going to be my pick. But if we get some more cautions, which it wouldn't surprise me, as long as Action Jackson stays clean in those cautions, he's down there in 11th position. That's not too far out. If he makes some big moves on the dog leg, the freshest tires up in the top, Action Jackson only 8 laps on his tires. The 99 driver of the 99 can definitely make something happen back there, but I'd have to say my pick right now is going to be that driver, that 8, Kevin Foster. He's a really quick driver. He knows how to save tires really well, and he's sitting there in second position with the freshest tires in the top 10. So he definitely have to be my pick.
Well, I think it's a good pick, and we're about to find out with 6 laps to go which one will be correct. Keep an eye as well. Ricky Hart Jr., former race leader, has equally new tires to Kevin Foster, but green flag for possibly the final time tonight. 10th time of the night. Nick Nickerson leads the field to green. Kevin Foster not too far back in the background. Curtis Yancey as well. Yancey's going to clear him on the inside line coming up to turn number 1, but those newer tires from Foster working their magic. There is Ricky Hart. Keep an eye on him in the background. Might make the move on Eddie Hagge, and I believe he will. He's going to fall in behind Cody Welch. Only 5 laps to go when we cross the line this time. Foster did not get the run he would have wanted to catch Nick Nickerson. He may spend a little bit too much time here working with Yancey, but Ricky Hart, he's up to 5th. He's on the inside of Cody Welch as we come around the final corner. 5 to go. That's only about 2.5 minutes with no caution, but we might get one further back in the field. Was that Peter Murphy again? I think a new driver. 10th caution of the night. We are going to have a green-white checkered, multiple cars involved.
Trouble for James Healy, I believe. Believe that's who that was, but we're going to head to a replay, see if we can see what happened. So following James Healy right here in the 39 car. Healy and the 18 of Mitchell Liam Sullivan get together at nowhere for the 48 car to go. Big damage for Alan Castle as well, driver of the 93. So following along with Castle.
It's so hard that he seemed to teleport through the car. But again, yeah, as you were about to say, Alan Castle, man, brutal night for luck for him tonight. It feels like every time, Evan, we see a crash happen, Alan Castle is not too far behind and just never in the position to get by it. Unfortunate luck there again from the driver of the number 93 car. There is the 39 car going around. Just the slightest miscommunication from your spotter can be all it takes to make not only a huge accident happen with multiple cars you can't avoid, but to make a very crucial caution late in a race.
And there you see the 48 of Connor Sawyer. He was just limping around the track trying to get back to the pits. Now as we head back live, there's the 39 of James Healy sitting in 19th position right now heading into the pits. Christopher Ferrara, another driver involved in that accident, 13 car sitting in 18th position heading to the pits as well. But during all that, Brandon Jackson has moved into the top 10. Definitely a driver to watch. Like I said, Now the newest tires in the top 10, Jackson's going to be sitting in 9th position. Nick Nickerson, though, the way that we saw that restart, Nick Nickerson was able to jump out there. He may be tough to beat here.
Yeah, he just seems so locked in that if he gets a good start, which he does all the time, it's one of those things I was saying. I tried to make the allusion earlier to this being the case, but it's kind of like special teams in football. Like, you don't need offense or defense. You just need everything else that the sport involves. And in this case, in racing, it might be stuff like pit road entry, getting into your box nice and square, or things like this, off of restarts. They are so crucial, especially at short tracks, especially in short runs. And Nick Nickerson has been almost unstoppable on them all season. So it's something that's going to work for him. And you saw there, Kevin Foster, he may have started there on the outside line. He may be on newer tires, but he was having trouble there dealing with Curtis Yancey, who got such a good run there on the bottom. So if you're Kevin Foster, your biggest priority on this restart has to be going the second you think Nick Nickerson's going to go. It almost gets to the point where you don't want to look at the number 2 car. You just want to try to guess when he's going to go. And I think if Kevin Foster can get off the line in a quick pace, he can get down to turn 1 before at least Curtis Yancey in the 51, I think he's still the favorite. But if he can't, I think Nick Nickerson has got this race locked up.
Yeah, and real quick, it looks like there was some trouble for some guys under caution here. 72 of Mason Flagar and the 80 of Tyler Rowland got together here under caution. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. Looked like Flagar just ran in the back of Rowland, possibly not paying attention or something. I don't know. He could have had a problem with his sim racing rig. Who knows? But a little bit of trouble for him. As there you see, that is the 26 car. As he was just a little bit caught up in this as it happened just in front of him and into the wall just a little bit for him trying to get around it.
Good work in a tight space to make it by there without any damage, and he is going to continue on as a result. But the lights on the pace car are off, so green-white checker. We got 2 laps to go. I don't know, Evan, how many green-white checkers we do run, so if we get another caution here on this next lap with 2 to go, we would go again. But once the white flag comes out, the next flag ends the race, and you got to think that'll play into Nick Nickerson's hands if the race ends early. But again, Kevin Foster, I just said it's so crucial. The start is what you want. You get the start, you almost automatically, if you can make a good pass in the dogleg, get the race win. But Ricky Hart's still there in contention, and you just mentioned him a moment ago, Evan, the number 99 car of Brandon Jackson, the newest tires of anybody, but not that far back on this restart. Some chaos, late race at Phoenix. Green flag for the 11th time tonight, 10th caution. Nickerson takes off, much better run from Foster, but I don't think he's going to clear Yancey. Yancey takes advantage, the 51 car to the inside. Nick Nickerson to pull away by about half a second. That is what he wanted to see. Ricky Hart, though, now going to go to the inside. I think he's almost got 4th locked up. Maybe he'll try to go for a podium spot late in tonight's race. Curtis Yancey, though, still holding the spot down. We're coming to the white flag this time by. Nick Nickerson still leads Kevin Foster with 1 to go.
You see almost 3 wide back here. Brett Guzik sitting in 7th position. Right now, directly behind him, Benjamin Lacey and Brandon Jackson battling side by side for that position as the white flag is out. We've got some trouble. A little bit of trouble in the back. Matt Crockett and Tyler Rowland got together. Crockett got pushed up the track. But Nick Nickerson still out front. Kevin Foster not far behind, though.
Through the final corner. He's going to hold off Foster. Call him the road course ringer no more. He is now 1-0. Second week in a row, the hometown boy wins it. Nick Nickerson is your winner at Phoenix Raceway. He did it on old tires. He really had to earn it. But Nick Nickerson, what a job by the number 2 car. Gets redemption for last week's late race pass from Foster that put him out of the top 2. Great race from both of the top 2 drivers, and Curtis Yancey in the 51 car. He had to put up with some old tires as well. He will round off your top 3 and the podium for tonight. You see there on screen. But Brandon Jackson, props to him, did his best there at the end, and Ricky Hart did put himself into the top 5 late in that run.
Yeah, such a great run for Nick Nickerson, and Kevin Foster at the end almost had him. Just wasn't able to make the pass, and the big smile there from the driver of the number 2 car. Able to win here at Phoenix, his hometown. Making that 3 wins on the season, and now 6 top 5s as he previously had 5. So as he heads around, presumably to do his victory burnouts.
Oh, almost avoided the wall there.
Into the wall a little bit. Great burnouts for the driver of the number 2 car. Let's see if we can go ahead and head to our race standings. So Nick Nickerson, driver of the number 2 car, obviously tonight's winner out of Phoenix, Arizona, racing for Arizona Motorsports. Able to get the win tonight. Then in second place, just barely in second place, Kevin Foster, driver of the 8 car. Curtis Yancey for H&M Motorsports, driver of the 51, able to get the third place position there at the end. Then Cody Welch in fourth, Ricky Hart Jr. in fifth. Sixth place belongs to the driver of the 97, Eddie Hagge. Great run for him. And then the 99 of Brandon Jackson in seventh. He gained a lot of spots on those newer tires, but only able to get up to 7th position, 8th position. Benjamin Lacey, driver of the 7. Followed by Brett Guzik, the 04 car, in 9th position. And Curtis Michaelis, driver of the 07, in 10th.
After that, Christopher Ferraro will come home in 11th. A pretty good race for him tonight, but in the end just didn't quite have the tires to make anything better out of it. Tyler Rowland there will finish 12th. We saw there right on the last restart. Got turned around there with the 72 of Mason Flagar, so probably not the finishing spot he would have liked tonight, but 12th is not bad nonetheless. Marshall Moran up 14 spots from qualifying. He will come home 13th. Mitchell Liam Sullivan was another big name in tonight's race. Had a lot of relevance to the action at hand, but he'll come home 14th in the end. Matt Crockett, another guy, he led a restart early in the race, but he will come home 15th at the end of the day. Benny Hogan after that will finish 16th. Trey Ellis, another guy who took a green flag there tonight, in 17th. Garrett Hall after that will finish 18th. Hunter Henry in 19th. And Thomas Funzler, another front row driver on a restart there, finishing 20th.
To start off your 20s for tonight, in 21, Peter Murphy, driver of the 38. For Murphy Motorsports, going to finish 1 lap down. Then in 22nd, Bill Harkins. Followed by Mason Flagar, who was 1 lap down, seemed to have had some sort of problem there, but otherwise up until then was running a great race. Then in 24th position, Anthony Caetano, driver of the 79, followed by Kim Janer. James Healy in 26th, Alan Castle in 27th, Gary Wright in 28th, Terry Condis, driver of the 32, in 29th, 6 laps down. Then in 30th, Jason Greenwell, driver of the 83, 8 laps down.
Connor Sawyer will come home 31st in tonight's race. Dustin Franklin, fortunately, he was pretty quick early on, qualified in the top 10. Of course, our first race winner of the season wasn't able to make it translate tonight. He will come home 32nd. Victor Weaver, 2 late race incidents will put him home in 33rd. Certainly, I'd imagine not where he would have hoped to finish tonight, but he had a good race overall. Brandon Trogdon is your final finisher of tonight's race. He'll come home 34th. And neither Tony Hilbrands nor James Hartley started tonight's race.
So good run from all of our guys. And in 1 second, we're going to get back with you with our interviews of the top 3. But before that, we're going to head to a commercial real quick, so we'll be right back. What's up, guys? If you're watching this, then you already know. Here at Evan Wall Media is where I do my broadcasting. 5 laps to go. Brandon Jackson in the lead. Nick Nickerson. And he turns him! The 99 of Jackson gets turned by Nickerson. But I bet you didn't know that I also do in-person photography and videography, as well as graphic design, including, but not limited to, iRacing paint schemes and posters. Check it all out over at evanwallmedia.com. Thank y'all, and you enjoy the race. All right, finishing in 3rd position was the driver of the number 51 car, Curtis Yancey. So I'm gonna throw it down to Marshall, who is with Yancey.
Hey, Curtis, Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations, man. It was not easy to earn a 3rd place tonight. There were so many moving parts in tonight's race here at Phoenix, and you seemed comfortable all the way through. You seemed more so than anybody to be comfortable to make those big moves. And one of your biggest assets you used all night was that dog leg, one of the most famous aspects of the Phoenix track. You just want to talk about what kind of element that adds to the race, and was it helpful there at the end when you were trying to hold off spots to use for defense from guys on the inside?
Oh, absolutely. The dog leg was very important. I don't know how much time it saves, but the distance around the track compared to the momentum, as in iRacing, the momentum really isn't much of a thing. It's more about distance around the track, and with that dog leg being cut off like that, it's saves a lot of time around the track.
Right, absolutely, and it was working for you. You were when you were working it to try to get passes done on people when you already had the run, you were almost unstoppable. But aside from that, though, the other big element, rather than just short run pace that you had plenty of tonight, was the overall strategy. I mean, it was going to be so intriguing to see who would take tires late in the race, who was going to have the freshest rubber there at the end, and you certainly didn't there on that last restart. I mean, you and Nick were some of the first guys to pit there on that final pit cycle, so could you definitely feel it there on those last couple restarts? Did it seem like the guys around you had more grip, and how were you able to counteract that to come home with a podium spot?
Oh, absolutely. I could definitely tell that the guys behind me had a lot more grip than I did. I don't remember exactly what lap the other guys pitted on behind me, but thankfully on that last green white checkered there, if they didn't race each other, I think they probably would have got third from me.
Yeah, but in the end, you come home, you take advantage of the spot you were given, and overall, you seem to have a lot of comfort tonight running, that really aggressive style here at the short tracks, and it's something that I think is going to work long term when it comes to later in the season as we get into the playoffs, trying to make late race passes. So, do you feel more comfort running in this Xfinity car as we're this far into the season? I mean, this is round number 9. We've run so far, and you seem to be more comfortable making those big aggressive passes. Do you think that style is going to work for you more so than some of the more conservative guys in the series? And how do you think that'll help your chances to do well in the playoffs in just a couple weeks?
Yeah, I don't know if I consider what I do aggressive or the other guys just being patient as hell, but I don't feel like I'm too aggressive. There's some people that certainly think I do. Earlier in the race, lap 30 or whatever, I get yelled at for making a 3-wide move where there was a hole open. So I don't consider it being aggressive. I consider it racing the race. And you leave a hole, I'll take that hole if I'm faster than you. I know last week at Auto Club, I got yelled at by somebody else for being aggressive and taking it 3 wide on a track where you can clearly go 7 wide. On here, you can go 4 wide. It's just the people that complain about everything seem to be the ones in the way. As for the playoffs, I think being aggressive, I don't exactly know. I know next week we're running at 5 flags. I don't know where else we're running after that. I think being conservative at 5 flags is definitely going to be more advantageous compared to being aggressive there.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely with your philosophy there. I think, yeah, as long as you make those big moves and you don't cause wrecks and stuff like that, then you're perfectly fine. And yeah, you're a clean driver, all things considered. You don't seem to get in a lot of stuff. So I think until it stops working, you just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll keep finding yourself here in post race interviews. So yeah, great job tonight, Curtis. It's always a pleasure to watch you. You make the race fun to watch. And as we always do here in the interviews, this is your opportunity. If there's anybody you want to give a shout out to, any sponsors you want to mention, this is your chance to do so.
Yeah, likewise, no sponsors really other than putting logos on my car that I think look cool in places that I've been to and brands that I use a lot. But got to thank the guys at H&M. I mean, we didn't come in with a lot of practice here, but running a lot of laps in practice between the 3 of us that were in the race, I think really helped share some information with that. I think that definitely helped us get to the finishing spot that we are.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Curtis. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you've been here a couple times now this season, so you're showing pace and you're showing yourself to be one of the favorites there late in the air. So just keep up the momentum you've had, keep the style of racing you've run all year, and I think it'll pay off for you going forward. So have a great rest of your week, Curtis. We'll see you next Wednesday at, as you said, 5 flags, another short track, and can't wait to see what you do there.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
That was Marshall Crocker with Curtis Yancey, but now I have got the driver of the number 8 car who finished in second position, Kevin Foster. You got a copy?
10-4.
Yeah, you had a great run tonight. Let's see, get everything pulled up. You had a great run tonight. You have only one top 5 on the season before this, and then here you are finishing in second position. You were almost able to make that pass there at the end. So kind of walk us through what happened there at the end of the race. I know you had a little bit newer tires than Nick Nickerson, but just weren't able to catch him. So kind of talk us through that last green-white checker.
Well, getting a restart is definitely difficult, especially with Nick. He's a veteran of the sport. Once we got settled out and I actually got around Nancy, I was able to hold Nancy off, 3 restarts on the outside there. And but Nick got too big of a lead after that, and on that restart there I was actually able to hang with Nick a little bit better, And had those cautions not come out, I definitely had, like you said, fresher tires than anyone else. And I think I would have, at least pulled the victory off and at least been, at least right there with Nick, even though I was close, but wasn't close enough.
Yeah, you definitely had the chance there at the end, but you're fairly solidly in the playoffs, so you should have plenty to look forward to and plenty of other chances to get your wins. But next week we're going to be heading to Five Flags Speedway. Is that somewhere that you're familiar with? And a short track like that, it's a lot different than some of these other tracks. Is that somewhere that you're ready to run? Is that somewhere you're excited for or not?
I'm definitely excited for that track. Last time the Bandit Racing Series was here, it was called the Bandit Racing League. So I was actually I'm the defending champion of that race, defending race winner of that race, and so I'm looking forward to that race. Like you said, talking to Nancy, patience is going to pay dividends the next week. It's a tight little track, and it's a fun track, and I'm looking forward to it. Excited. One more race before the playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun track. Ought to be a lot of fun. But before you go, is there any sponsors you want to thank? Anybody that you want to thank?
Definitely want to thank Jay with Swino de Alzo for sponsoring the car this year. Big shout out to him. I want to thank all my friends and family watching. Big shout out. Today would have been my dad's 65th birthday, and I tried to put in victory lane for him, but one spot short. Congrats to Nick, and as always, next week, brother.
One spot short, but you definitely had the chance. So good luck next week at Five Flags, and I expect to see you up front.
Amen, brother. I'll see you then.
All right, that was Kevin Foster, so now I'm going to go ahead and throw it back over to Marshall Crocker as he is with Nick Nickerson.
Hey, Nick, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
How's it going, man?
It is going very well, and I'm noticing a trend. This is now the third week in a row I've talked to you here in the booth, and first it was in first in a race at Daytona Road Course, certainly within your wheelhouse. Last week at Auto Club, a race that you came very close to winning, and tonight we do it again. We talked about in that interview at Auto Club that you were feeling good about tonight, and now you come home in victory lane, get oval win number 1 on the season. Just what was it tonight that was different? I mean, you've led so many oval races over the course of the year, but tonight, late in the race, even with older tires, you seem to just be able to hold in there, stay ahead of guys like Kevin Foster. So how did you deal with that discrepancy in tire wear, and what was it about your line that you think was working for you there all throughout the race?
Well, I definitely did not have it this race. Kevin and Cody were maybe not faster, but maybe just a little bit, I guess, more consistent. And I really didn't think I'd had much of a chance to beat either of them in a clean, no yellow, kind of race. The only reason I even won this race, so let's see, I pitted early, so that kind of helped me get out in the front. And then I had probably just enough tires to stay up there, and then it was just yellow after yellow after yellow. If we went more than 4 laps in a row in green, Kevin was just going to fly by me. I mean, this was his race to win at that point. He had the best strategy. But I guess fortunately for me, the yellows kept coming, and I was able to hold it off for the green-white checkered.
Yeah, I like to think of it as an evening out of last week. Your biggest problem in last week's race that was out of your control, and then becomes your biggest strength. And yeah, I mean, you finally get out of that trend there of road course wins. And I said it at the end of the race, but maybe that road course ringer title can start to be shed now that you've won at a short track, probably the purest form of stock car racing outside of something like Daytona. I mean, you've been quick there as well. So you really haven't showed there's one discipline in particular here in the Xfinity car that you've had trouble with. So as we go into the playoffs, next week we go to Five Flags again in the short track. So maybe you can carry that sort of pace over. But as we go into the playoffs, is there one particular discipline that you're less comfortable in now that you seem to be able to win anywhere?
Yeah, I can't really think of any. I know there's probably a New Hampshire I'm kind of worried about. I don't really race there often. I guess we'll see how much. Hopefully everybody else struggles as much as I do. Maybe it's one of those things. I think I'm bad. It's just a terrible track to run, which kind of makes it fun. I'm not saying New Hampshire's a terrible track, and Darlington is one that we'll have to see about that, because Darlington can either be really awesome for me or really terrible. As the tires start to wear out, you start bouncing off the wall, and once you get right front damage, then it just kind of cascades, and you keep getting right front damage. And we'll see. other than that, I think everything else, it's just, the typical luck for me. I mean, I could be leading laps, and it all comes down to, strategy towards the end. If I'm not leading the race, I like to kind of pit early, so maybe I can kind of jump the leaders. But that kind of opens up the possibility, like what Kevin did, is pitting later if there's a late race caution, and then he gets fresh tires and they just go right around you. So I have to kind of, I guess I'll have to work on my strategy and how I play the end of some of those races out.
Right. That was actually just about to be my next question. Was going into next week at Five Flags, a very similar track to Phoenix, and in some ways, I mean, Phoenix is very unique in its own right. The short track racing, we've been to a couple this year. We went to Iowa, and then tonight at Phoenix, you can partially consider a short track. So is seeing the strategy of guys like Kevin, has that changed your idea of going forward, what it's like to race at a short track, how important tires are? And next week, are you gonna try to plan a bunch, get that strategy all figured out, and go for win number 4 next week to round off the regular season?
Yeah, we'll see. So Iowa was a terrible race for me. I mean, it was just a caution fest, and I couldn't really move around. And then I ended up, unfortunately, having to miss, I forget what Lucas Oil Raceway was it? Mm-hmm. So I didn't get to really race that. So honestly, this would be like pretty much my first real short track race with these cars in this league. So I have no idea what's going to happen. But I'm in the playoffs, so I don't really care. I'll just go out there and try to win. If not, oh well.
Perfect. I don't think you can go into it with a much better plan than that. So I just do what you're doing, man. It's working for you now, and now you're not only the first multiple race winner of the season, you've now won 3. So at this point, you're piling them up, waiting for somebody to catch up to you. So you can now do it anywhere, and a very well-deserved, probably the most well-deserved, congratulations and sponsor segment of the year. So this is your opportunity, as always in the interview. You get to thank people at home or mention any sponsors you want to mention.
I'll just point out this is also my hometown track. So
I totally forgot. Yes, we mentioned it plenty. That second time in a row, man. Benjamin won last week and you won this week. Just must be something in the water.
Yeah. All right. So, and I guess Bill and Matt that put on this league, man. And I want to give a shout out to Kevin, man. I feel bad. I feel like I kind of held him up last week. He could have had the chance for the win, and then he had the faster car. Kind of sucks how the race turned out. I know today's his father's birthday, and I believe he lost his father less than a year ago. So thinking about Kevin, he's a good dude. And appreciate you and Evan for all you do with the broadcast, man. They're awesome.
Awesome. And again, as always, you make them fun, and that's it's a very mutual symbiotic relationship there. So really glad you enjoy him. We always enjoy watching you, man. And I'll ask, because I totally forgot there. One more question before we head off. It is your hometown track, the same way that Ben said he lived 15 minutes away down the road last week. Mm-hmm. What's your relationship like with the Phoenix track? Do you know the track well? Have you been there before? And do you think any of that background knowledge helped you figure it out tonight?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's always been a track I've always ran when I was just like messing around, with NASCAR racing, since NASCAR racing 1 back in 1990, whatever.
Oh, nice.
I do go to the races every year, and then I've done a couple of those on track NASCAR experience things, but cars are so slow I don't think you can really learn much. I think it's just from running so many laps over my entire lifehood.
Eventually it just sinks in there.
It's one of those things. But
well, I wonder if the drivers of NASCAR Racing 1 considered it a sim back then, like iRacing drivers are very, very brutal about it now. You can't call it a video game, but that's besides the point, man. Yeah, you made it work tonight. You ran a car much quicker than the NASCAR experience cars, and you brought it home and at the top of the podium. So have a great rest of your week, Nick. You're going into next week. You're the race winner. You're 3 times in a row the podium. You got it working for you. So next week at Lucas Oil, as you say, first proper short track of the year. Can't wait to see what you do. So we'll see you next week, man. See you next Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week, Nick.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Awesome.
Thanks. All right, man.
All right, so that was Nick Nickerson, winner of the Eastwood Detailing 125 here at Phoenix. And so to sign off, I'm Evan. I got Marshall here with me. And one more time, big thank you to Eastwood Detailing for sponsoring this race. Chris Eastwood and Peter Murphy, our sponsors tonight. Eastwood Detailing will be having a fire suit raffle as well as breast cancer awareness shirts coming up in October. So if you are interested in that raffle, then you can look up Chris Eastwood on Facebook and shoot him a message for your chance to enter and win. So big thank you for sponsoring the race. And again, to anyone that wants to sponsor, let somebody know. Let me know. Let Bill know. We're always available for sponsorship opportunities here, but going into next week at Five Flags, it is going to be our last regular season race of the season. It ought to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys join us next week, and we'll see you then. Same time, Wednesday night, same place, same time.
Awesome. See y'all there.